Well, what's the crack, everybody? How are you getting on? You're all very welcome to another episode of Buckshot, number 166, would you believe? For Friday, the 11th of December 2020. Or if you're a Patreon, you will, of course, have gotten the ad-free version a couple of days earlier. And if you're right good, you'll get the video the whole lot. So that is what you get if you join us with the Patreon. You get the ad-free versions a bit early, and you get the videos. Who would want to see the videos? Do you know? It's a lot of time on our hands at the moment. There's no harm in just throwing this on when you're supposed to be working. A lot of people are putting some downtime in and not really actually working. You're looking at the likes of me talking to people with our faces. Also, a big shout out to all the 2 new Patreons. I need to check your name out, but I will be doing a ramble pod this week, or you will have already heard it as I record this. We'll be giving shout outs as well. Anne-Marie got the mugs. Now do we know who got them? Anne-Marie over in the West got the mugs. We need to find out who else got the rest of the merch, because people are buying merch. Gordo, you must be buying prezzies for Nana or something with my face on it. God bless you. If that's the thing you actually want to give somebody, it does support the podcast if you don't want to jump on the Patreon thing. But I would jump on the Patreon thing, because you're going to have a lot of time on your hands over Christmas and there's a lot of other videos to watch. Yeah, no. So it's going to make life a little easier. Of course, both are going to be down in the show notes. You'll see the links down there. Give them a gander, get in there, support the podcast. And sure, look, even if you don't want to do any of that, write it down on a note, give it to your Nana and tell her that's what she's to be listened to. Because that's what it's all about. The community here, Buckshot, tell everybody about it. Like I said, we've had a couple of great comments in. I want to see those comments and then 5 stars. Don't be giving me none of them fucking 3 stars. And they're not worth 2 shits to a man. Unless you're a podcast guru, I can take no advice from you. I just want 5 stars, that delicious stuff, and your best comment. I've already picked who's in the front runner, and they will be getting a Buckshot t-shirt. I don't know if you'll get it this side of Christmas, but I will be talking to you this side of Christmas. So on the night of the 20th of December, we will be also doing a live ramble pod for Patreons only, where we'll be all getting fairly fucking mashed and drunk. And if it's anything like the silliness that went on the last night, it'll be some fucking crack, or even half as good. It'll be some crack. I will announce the winner on that particular night, and you will get yourself a t-shirt. So get your comments in. Best comments. Like I said, the best comment from last year on Apple Podcasts was, great podcast. Hey, for sale. And he put his phone number underneath it. One of the greatest things you can ever do. But it's been overtaken. There's been a couple of sweet ones come in. So on Apple Podcasts, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, my guest is cracking his bollocks up at the background, because he's like, that is the most Tom. That is the most Tom thing of all time. That's the housekeeping done. Lovely. Look at the show notes. They're down there. Click through the links if you want to support the podcast. It would be greatly appreciated. You'll get a big old fondy, as my nana used to say, or a kiss, but socially distant. And of course, obviously, I will have asked your permission beforehand. So moving on swiftly to today's guest, I think we were intertwined like Janie and Forrest, like the fucking Ghostbusters need the ghosts. No other than the guru himself. I'm going to give him an intro like he gives me an intro anytime I'm on his podcast. Entrepreneur, star of Stage in the Day, bon vivant, lover of all things Wexford. The only other thing Wexford is Nicky Rackard or Lee Chin. Those are the only other 2 things that are fucking more Wexford than this man. The Obi-Wan to my Kenobi. I should have said Obi-Wan to probably Padman or one of those things, but sure, I don't know about that kind of shit. You know me, I don't know anything about fucking Star Wars. I'm trying to fucking blend in here. Please welcome to the stage the man, the myth, the legend, Gordo, Rochford, everybody from TCG. Hey. How you doing?
All right, boss.
You couldn't hold it together, sure you could.
Oh, that hair for got me, bro. That shit got me. It was so good. He's like,
so good.
As a man out in the country with hair for sale, with an entrepreneurial mind and not a great knowledge of the internet, he's like, I'm gonna fucking catch this shit, boy. That is very funny. How you keeping, man?
Isn't it? All the better. I mean, you're probably the one person I talk to most these days.
Oh yeah, this is the fucking the lockdown brethren here, trying to figure out what the fuck life is about, and we're all stuck in the house.
I know.
You look incredibly Christmassy there, man. It's a rustic Christmas.
You haven't seen the palette effect, have you? You know, this is new to you.
Before, yeah.
Yeah.
candy canes and old nails all aglow.
There's literally old nails
Yeah,
looking
yeah.
through them. Yeah, I had to take the bland look off that wall. There was like, you've got that badass thing. You got, your little figurines in the
Bits
background
and
there.
bobs, yeah.
I should probably call them something. There's probably some cool name for them. I shouldn't be calling them figurines. I shouldn't be calling them toys.
Each one of them is deep to my soul and my heart. It's a physical representation of my inner psyche, you know.
But this is me. I'm like, this is my Buddy the Elf month. This is where I just do the podcast. Just looks Christmassy.
Have yourself a tetanus for Christmas. Oh Lord, no, it's good to be here Christmas time, man. It's been a weird year, and I made this fucking studio here now. It's lovely, and there's no cunt can come into it now.
I know, it's fucking ironic. You built this amazing fucking studio, and then nobody can fucking go to it.
Yeah,
they're like, wait, you see it, boys. And thankfully I got my toe in the door early days when it was in this construction. It's one or two things like, but get out to fuck after that. Nobody else allowed in.
Yeah, it's bad form, man. I you're working so hard to put it all together, and then somebody says a rule, and then we all have to stay 2 meters apart, or wear like full body condoms, or put up plexiglass and shit, like, and it ruins the effect.
I would have done that. We had a couple of nights. We had some fun podcasts coming up. I was really rubbing my paws together, especially the people you put me on with as well. Like, I was rubbing my paws together. But sure, look, we'll get to it when we get to it. Like,
yeah. No, but it's good. The stuff we recorded a few shows and stuff for season 8 coming up, and we had some great people in, some new people, some fresh blood, and some of them are fucking brilliant, man. Some of the shows, like, the topics just grew in the room, and we're like, oh, what about this, you know? And the true crimes have grown from like 90 minutes long to like 3.5 hours long.
Gordo, we did 4.5 hours on a true crime. Now, a lot of it was penis talk. There was a lot of penis.
It was one of the best, man. But it's just, there's so much more to talk about, and we're well practiced, you know. But no, it's great to be on the Buckshot again. The last time I was here, we were in a cafe in Capel Street.
A noisy old fucking cafe in Capel Street. Nice day out, though.
Lovely day out.
2 boys off in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Lukewarm coffee and chewy tarts.
What, the tarts were fucking chewy on the same day.
Yeah.
But look, don't go to Capel Street if you're going for, don't be going for fucking any of your fancy stuff. Just go if you need tea. That's where you can go. But don't be, head over the other side of the city if you want snazzy tarts. I was looking up because you always have some significance. There's always like 17 layers to what you're doing, and it makes me look like such a shallow bastard. I'm like, well, what's the crack? Tell me about the time your tit fell out, lad. And, that's pretty much... But I think people like to listen to that on a lighter note.
Yeah, but, I mean, not everything is an international or interdimensional lizard pedophile fucking gang.
I mean, if you dug deep enough, you probably would get there. Yeah. But I would, because the thing was, I was going, I need Gordo, because Gordo's done so much for my podcast, and we do so much together, and we've created so much together. I should have him on a set number, because you were all about, because the symbolism throughout the conspiracy world.
Yes,
and I was like, 166. Like, I can't wait to get him on the 420. Then again, that wouldn't make any difference, because that's like 20 years down the line, but he doesn't smoke weed anymore. What kind of number? We're getting back for 200. We're on 166. So I looked up what your angel number. Your angel number, would you believe it? This is for any number you want. So your angel number for today of the episode 166. It's a message from your angels to keep your thoughts heavenward and positive, and let go of material matters or concerns. The focus is on emotions, family issues, the home environment, and you as a person. New energies will be entering your life, which will lead to renewed enthusiasm. Well, by Jesus, Gordo.
That's fairly spot on, man. Fairly spot on.
I wouldn't have made any mention of it, but I think it is, isn't it?
It's right there. I mean, some of the things that can't be talked about at the moment are in confidential status at the moment, but it's definitely all family orientated, positivity, new growth, getting ready, the big push, energies back into like a new season for the show. Fucking, and the same for you, like big moves, big changes, all this kind of stuff. It's happening, man.
Yeah. 'Cause I know there's a major crossover with people, like especially my Patreons, like the crossover between our two. We cross streams quite a lot,
Yeah, big time.
but there has been a few times like where people have gone, Jove, because from listening to me, they do transfer back the other way. So there's a handful of farmers around the country. You definitely are now conspiracy fucking theorists as a result. They've gone, 1 second now, and the next thing they're in, and they're fucking in, man. They love that shit.
Red
But
pill,
the weird,
red pill, the red line.
hey, if she's red, leave her in the shade. That's
it,
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
If she's blue, she'll do. But.
Can you imagine like a culty Morpheus just being like, do you want to take the blue tractor and just stay on the farm, breaking down sporadically, or do you want to take the red tractor, see how far this laneway goes?
The farm tricks. Oh my god, yeah. But they're like, it's people pop up in the weirdest places because I like, you have unbelievably dedicated fans. Like my people are kind of, I won't say they definitely are fans, but they're fair weather kind of people. Like they give you a salute across the road, like, "Well, Tom," that kind of a salute. But like your people would, if they got you in real life, Gordo, they jump on your back, like, like Beetlejuice, they'd be on you. Like they'd be.
Like, I had we had this the American trip was in process, let's say. I wanted to go to America, make a bunch of documentaries. We fell short on a bunch of different things, legal stuff, financial stuff, and we ended up then going to Europe for a little while and using what money we had got after, like, visa fees and legal fees and transport costs and all this kind of stuff. And we made a bunch of videos in Europe instead. But for the lead up to it, I was planning on like staying in accommodation in America that wasn't like sleeping on cunts' couches and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There was so many offers of like, hey man, do you know about the black-eyed children, man? Hey, you want to come over here, man? Every Thursday at 9, I see like lights in the sky behind my house. You can stay in my house if you like. We can watch them. And there's absolutely zero chance of me staying in a fan's house. Because you wake up in the middle of the night and someone's dick will be on your lips. Like, that is a fact. Or you're after getting dosed. Like, hey Gordo, does this cloth chloroform? And you wake up in a bath and there's just like chunks of you missing and shit. Like, no way, man. That's not happening.
He's standing there with his fucking favorite duck under his arm, just looking down on you. Just going, morning, sweetheart.
Oh, dudes, man, I can only imagine, like, for the likes of Alex Jones or Joe Rogan or some of the big conspiracy, like, well, Joe's not so conspiracy anymore, but that's what he kind of bread and buttered himself with through the mid 2000s or whatever. But I can only imagine the kind of shit that they get, lads sending in fucking, I don't know, cum tissues and fucking Ferrero Rocher sized pieces of their shit that have been frozen and put into a lunchbox, or like you put it into that, what's that clear plastic that you lacquer the floors with or something, it's just like
okay, has somebody gotten the tattoo yet of the new logo?
Not yet, but there are a few people going like, send me the thing and I'll tattoo it on me. Like, that's fucking bizarre to me that you would,
like, you haven't tattooed it on you. That's where
no,
it's a fucking cool, your new logo is really, really cool.
Really cool.
Like, what? Like, but you can kind of, I suppose there's people, like, I remember even talking. Yeah, there's a fucking gang of stuff in it, but people are easy going when it comes to, like, I'd say the most, I've had people cross over, and I think I was telling you, but I was gigging down at Cork, and these couple of girls came in, of all people, and I said, of all people, what would they be doing coming into a comedy club?
Two well-dressed women.
Yeah, but like there was nothing wrong with them, from what I could tell. But I was just walking past the front door as people were coming in. They were like, "Oh, hey, geez, we heard you on those conspiracy guys, and we're coming to see." And there was like a gang of them. No, there was a gang. It was like, well, that is okay, all right.
I think you told me as well that happened with Caveman as well when you were going out doing that.
Oh no, people did, yeah.
Yeah, coming up going, heard you on the show, and it's just links that. But you know what it is, right? Ireland is so small. Like, the 7 steps to Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, in Ireland it's like 2 steps, maybe 3 steps to some cunt. Like, it's very, very close. So, especially in the entertainment industry, like, everybody knows everybody. and comedy especially. It's very incestuous is probably the wrong word because nobody's having any sex really.
No, they're absolutely not.
I'm trying to think of the word like cross-pollinatory maybe or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
But everybody has everybody's kind of best interest at heart. They want to have they want to build a comedy audience or whatever. But with podcasts, it's totally different. Like you put a podcast out on the internet, and anybody from anywhere. I've come to Trinidad and Tobago listening to this. Like
I had a couple of lads in Tobago and Trinidad and Tobago.
It's probably the same fucking lads.
Well, two lads took pictures of, they had mugs, the fucking merch mugs on this super, like this tanker, like you could not see the end of.
Yeah.
The boys were up on it going, "Hey!" Like my culchy fucking voice is in your ears in Trinidad and Tobago.
Who would you ever thought about it? You ever heard of Tom O'Mahony? You got that great podcast now. Like you never hear that shit. But like, the Spotify, you know, the Spotify Wrapped 2020 for the end of the year.
Oh yeah.
Like I had people sending me, I think I got about 250 or 300 Instagram kind of screenshot jobs, you know, and they sent me in the DMs and I would put them out in my stories. I think the person that had the most was 48,300 and something minutes, right? And I counted, yeah. I counted that up.
I think I know who he is actually.
It's something like 166 days straight.
I hear.
Don't get me wrong. I better not sound like a silly goose now saying that. 48,000.
That's hilarious that you're actually checking that, because you know your listeners on the Swapcast will actually go, I think you'll find Gordon.
Do it. But it's not even that disappointing of a number. It's 34 full days, 24 hours a day, back to back, like non-stop, 24/7. 34 days in 2020 he spent listening to those conspiracy guys, among others. But like 34 full days. If you were to do that, like 34 days, like 34 multiplied by 24 divided by 8, 102 days of 8 hours a day solid. So a third of the year the country's listening to the show.
That is unfucking believable.
Like a full-time job.
When you rack it up like that, like because
demented.
Jesus, like how many hours do you have up online? Do you know? Like, did he just listen to a few of them back, like, or what?
I think of 160 something episodes. I have, and that's the public ones, and then that adds up to almost 700 hours of content. And then privately, I have maybe another 250 or 300 hours.
By Jesus.
Yeah. We did a count one day with the lads in the Discord, and it's as much content as all the episodes of Simpsons, all the episodes of South Park, and all the episodes of Community. Oh no, all the episodes of South Park, Simpsons, and Friends in time, all put together collectively. There's more of those conspiracy guys content in time than all of those three TV shows. Yeah, but like most of it is like dick jokes, and some of it is kind of shilling for Patreon and asking for fucking explaining how to get onto like our Instagram and shit. Like 40 minutes of that at the start of the episode. But that's fucking hundreds of hours of content, man. You know.
Yeah. When you think if those words have come out of your face, like, you know, if you go now, like we can kind of, like they talk about, this people go talk about having the steps or the fucking, what's the yoke, the Fitbit going, I did 10,000. You're like, motherfucker, I burnt like fucking 10,000 calories just running my mouth for 5.5 hours.
Apparently your brain uses 1,000 calories a day just thinking.
It absolutely does. Have you never been fucking starving over one of your long hauls? Because every time I've come out of your one, I'm going, I need fucking all the burgers in Dublin right now.
I go into a hypoglycemia. Like I haven't had any dinner today, so you get like zing 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 zing. You get real like hyper, and it's all everything's firing. But at the end of it, it's like you're after fucking jizzing 12 times, and you just have to like, just give me crips and a nap. Give me salt and give me sugar and fuck off. Are you
the modern day fucking Aleister Crowley? Is that what you're saying? Like you're just fucking.
Pull myself
I am
asunder.
the wizard who controls this world. Listen to me now as I jizz all over these crackers.
Tell you, man, it's something else. It's some other type of experience to do a 7-hour Those Conspiracy Guys episode. I mean, like spiritually, physically, psychologically, mentally. Whoever has done it will tell you, like it's kind of like a whirling dervish. Like it gets after about 2 hours, we're like in it, and it's like we're in the zone.
Mm.
We're in the flow. Shit's happening. We can fucking hear each other's thoughts. Like we know, like this. Okay, this is gonna happen. Okay, boom.
Yeah.
Fucking lock that in for a callback, and like an hour and a half later, someone drops it in. We do a little sketch, and it's, like there's a symbiosis
Oh, there is. Yeah.
over a
Yeah.
period
Yeah.
of time. You know.
And it takes those 2 hours, I find. Like by the time the wheel's properly greased, like, and you're in, and all of a sudden between the three, you'll almost feel those cogs fall into place, don't you? Go,
Yeah.
oh,
It's just kind of like,
now we're fucking, yeah.
Yeah, there's fanny rubbing and there's Mickey sucking and
Yep.
I mean, obviously, like there's nipple tweaking and fucking bum tickling. It's about 90 minutes of that, and then it's just 5 hours of mate slapping off a mate. Psychologically, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something else. Like you can in a day, and then you have to go and have a lie down. I've had lads like walking out of my house at 3:30 in the morning, and they arrived at like 2:00 in the afternoon. And they're stumbling out of the place at 3:30, like they're after being on a fucking train spotting type drug trip, going like, "What the fuck? It was the sun was shining when I went in here. What the fuck is going on?" Like it's weird.
It is. Because I remember calling up to your place one time, and I'd never seen my own face back, but I went up, and I can't remember who was it. Eamon. I can't remember who the two boys were, and you were just after finishing. You were giving me some piece of equipment, no doubt. And the boys looked like they've been ridden too hard, that kind of way. Like
that happens too.
You'd hit the lovely spot, and the next thing was still going,
yeah,
and still going, and she wouldn't let you out of the cotton. The next thing, before you knew it, you're fucking. The two boys were virtually and mentally bow-legged walking out of there. You walked out just Don Juan with the fucking shirt off, smoking a fag,
pulling at me
slapping
balls.
both their arses. Get out. Now.
I mean, I've had texts off Eamon O'Neill going the next day, going like, "Man, what the fuck did you do to me? I can't. This is you ruined 2 full days of work." Like he had mental cystitis. It was wrong. Any thought that he had was stingy. He was like, "Oh, fuck! I can't even think now. It's burning me."
Drinking Sudocreme to try and sort himself
Yeah,
out.
yeah. I know, man. But it's great crack. Like you can get into stuff. So the amount of words that come out of me. I think some of the episodes, like the true crime ones I've done recently, have had like 7,000 to 10,000 words of notes. Like I go deep with the notes since about 2016, and I kind of write a little bit of the script that I want to say, that I know like that's a thing that's a fact that I have to have, and then I'd interject into the script like kind of improvisationally with extra kind of commentary or thoughts that I'd had during the day or over the weeks. Like I was like, and I thought, and that's here's Ghostbusters reference and a Thundercats reference, here's my dick, there's a thing, okay, back to the facts, and it's easy just to drop in and out. But I recently did this thing where I tried to get the transcriptions of all the episodes, and I run it through there's this app called Otter. Yeah,
yes,
so they're coming out at like 300,000 words, Tom.
Fucking back up the lorry. Get down out of the cab and say those words to me again.
When I do the transcription, I put like 7 hours into this transcription software, and when it poops out the thing, it's like 130 pages. It's like 300,000 words of us talking. Yeah, it's demented. Some of them
300,000 words are going into people's ears.
Yeah, in the 7 hours. Yeah.
So even for that fucking psychopath, God bless him, that listened to 102 days. Like, he must have had literally millions and millions of Irish accented fucking words going into his head. Yeah. How do you hold it together, I wonder, after that? Like, no wonder your fans are fucking climbing into bed with you fucking whenever if they could get a chance.
Dick lipping. They're dick lipping.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's class, man. No, but it's because like we can go over subjects that other people have gone over. So there's only so many like conspiracy topics you can do,
Mm-hmm.
But I have like topics and seasons burned out into like the next 15 seasons. I've like up to season 20, let's say, planned out in blocks of 14. I know like this year I'd be doing one on, say, the Rothschilds, and there'll be callbacks to that like in like two seasons time, like 2 years time, when we come back to that and go, I told you about this lad, told you about this lad, told you about this lad. There's a bed of knowledge. Here's the next fucking level, and you're building bricks. But you want it to kind of like shake it up a bit as well, like a band set. You want a dancey tune, and after that you want a slow tune to let everyone kind of calm down, and catch their breath, and then you want like a sing along song, and then you want the hit from the radio, and then you want the fucking Everybody Loves You finale song, and have them whistling that when they're leaving the venue. So I kind of do that with the episodes as well, like there's a cryptozoological one, there's a silly one, there's like a famous person's weird death, which turns into like a biography episode. I'm guessing infinite topics.
I'm guessing Jimmy Savile wasn't the upbeat fucking fast chef.
There's always a paedophile episode because it's like at the center of everything. So you got to drop it in. We're doing Pizzagate this season, and the story is unfolding as we speak, and talking about like Nexium and what's his name, Keith Raniere and all this kind of stuff. So there's so much stuff. Ghislaine is getting COVID. Has she COVID? I don't know. Has she got it? I don't know. Like, she's not hanging herself anyway, that's a fact. But it's just like trying to get everything in the conspiracy world together. You could do a show every week and be...
You could, of course.
90 minutes and just go blah, 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 and just shout and roar. Or I could, like, line up a load of authors and have them come in and just tell their story, and it's like a fucking infomercial for their book. I am going to be doing that. But I don't want that to make that the mainstay of the show, because it's you're it's secondhand fucking information. Like you're
and like you have 250,000 fucking words to say. So,
exactly. But the thing is, like, when I study it like I'm the expert, which is what the person at home is sitting there doing, going, I want to know this stuff, but I don't want to have to go to college to learn it. So like let's just read shit on the internet. Let's read a few books. It's like fucking, I don't know, Cliff's Notes for conspiracy theory. I read all the books. I look at all the stupid videos that are like 9/11 wishing and shake yeah, this kind of shit. And I fucking just process that and spit it out, But it's good, with good crack and in a kind of palatable way, makes it easier to understand some of the harder kind of. Do you know what, Tom? People don't like to ask for help sometimes, and you'd be talking to somebody about something and. You'd say a word and they'd be like, and then they realize about 25 or 30 words later, it's like, fuck, that was a really important word that I didn't understand, and now he's talking about something else and I don't really know the context of this sentence. Like, he's lost me now, shit, and I can't say anything because I should have said it like 45 seconds ago. Oh, fuck, I don't know what that word is, and it's just like going on in your head. So I don't mind looking silly sometimes and going like, I didn't know what this meant. Here's this thing, I had to look it up. I think people. But I think
I think Pete, that's what endears you to people in a lot of ways, because while you don't sound like, also you sprinkle in the bit of comedy, obviously, like, and you're having the crack with the lads or whoever else is on with you, but also you come across with a vibe like, oh, I could know this fella. You know what I mean? Yeah. You listen to fucking your man. What's his name? Tyson. Fucking. He's the black lad with the fucking. He's got the Jerry. He's got that fucking. Just let your soul glow. He looks like your man in Coming to America.
Yes,
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Had he aged to now,
soul glow.
Soul glow. I know you appreciate.
Where is the prince?
Or your balls bounce a ball off your head in soccer. I know you love an Eddie Murphy reference. I know you do.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that might be Samuel L. Jackson's feature film role.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I remember reading that somewhere. But I like the likes of him. Great, yeah, he's but you could never see yourself hanging with that guy. And I think there's an element where people can think, Gordo actually sounds like somebody you could fucking hang out with. Like, you'd never hang. And that's very endearing to people. I think that's more so. I think that's why people listen to me. Is just that's definitely a bloke that'd be in the pub. That definitely, to a certain degree. Obviously, you have put in serious legwork when it comes to your fucking episodes and all the rest of it. What is the evolution you see from season 1? Obviously, you're going, sure, we were doing it in our kitchen. Aside from the actual physical gear and all the rest of it, what is the evolution, do you think? Or did you know it was going to end up where it is now? Seasons 7 seasons in, about to start an 8th, or was it going, let's have a bit of a jolly here and see what the crack was? Or were you day one going, this is?
If I'm honest, it was day one going, this is my way out of this fucking phone shop. Like I saw the writing on the wall as far as YouTube and content creation and stuff like that. Podcasts like getting big. I was listening to Joe Rogan. I was listening to Greg Carroll from the Higher Side Chats. I was listening to Doug Loves Movies. You know that,
Oh yeah,
you know that podcast. And Doug Benson, who has a brilliant comedy show, the Benson Interruption, where you go up and you do stand up, and then he just like fucking heckles you, and you just have to take it. Which we should definitely do in Ireland when that shit wakes up again.
Well, who has a great one in the Comedy Store? I know Aaron McCann has done it a few times. Tony
Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
And there's basically a trio. He could have anybody. He had Bill Burr one night.
Yeah.
And you get 1 minute and they critique you on the spot. And you might get cut off by the fucking by the band.
I've seen annihilations on it. People crying when you're done. Yeah. Kill Tony.
McCann. Kill Tony. McCann he was called back. He got to do it 2 or 3 times over there. And you never get it, but he crushed every time. In fairness, he'd fairness to him. But yeah. Sorry, go back to Ben.
So I'm listening to those type of podcasts. Going in and out to work in a job that I didn't particularly like or enjoy. But I just got to talk to people and have the crack. And old Russian ones that come in and I get to practice my Russian, or some fella come in. And he'd be all like into Jesus because he's after getting clean from heroin, and he'd be all telling me about like, do you know about this fella called Jesus? He was a carpenter, but he was also the son of God, so he was signing and walking, and he was able to. He built his own cross and he climbed up and he died for our sins, so I don't do heroin anymore. And I'm like, yeah, sound man, come here, what's the crack? Like, what's heroin like? Oh, it's like a big warm hug from your mommy. Like, it was like weird situations. The lads in the shop are like, are you selling phones or are you talking? And I'm like, I think you'll find I'm talking. What the fuck is wrong with you? Excuse me. Sorry about that, boss. No bother, man, you're grand. Like, I didn't like the job. It was just like, I wanted to get something that I could call my own, something that I made myself that was part of a culmination or an amalgamation of all the skills that I'd acquired over my lifetime, which is the music and the content creation, like the technology parts, the audio tech, because there's a background in music, and then it was like conspiracy theory, smoking loads of hash and watching loads of videos and getting all that information and reading loads of books and knowing loads of shit about it and thinking about it for years and years, and then doing comedy for a period of time and knowing that if I say something, I don't need an audience to know if it's going to be funny or not. I'm going to throw the shit out here. I know what works and what doesn't. And like, obviously I've been, funny my whole life as most things are. And now I had this internet knowledge. I had done deep dives on YouTube culture and podcasting and trying to get all of that stuff together to focus it, laser focus it at something with a content strategy, a great website, like a really well put together and a good sounding podcast that was entertaining and not like anything else that was out there at the time. And it just kind of hit straight away because I picked the good topics, but the was planning it out for years and years and years. Like I had it all from the very start planned out using apps like Trello or Asana, like putting in all of these topics, going through all the shit that I've ever gone through, anything that I've ever read, and say, okay, well, I've already done the legwork on that. I'm going to have to, talk about that.
Yeah.
And some of those episodes, way back then, they're only getting to be made like weeks ago. Like this kind of thing. 7 years later, and so I spent the whole year producing it, and then we recorded over the summer, and I released it in September 2018. And it wasn't brilliant, and it wasn't as deep as we've gone in later seasons, and it was as good as we could do at the time, but not dissimilar to like a band or a comedian or a sportsman. You're not going to come out straight away and someone throws you a ball for the first time, you're Lionel Messi, or you're not going to go out on stage and you're not going to be fucking killing him softly like Dave Chappelle in your first 8 gigs. Like we were doing these fucking podcasts, and it's like you get one go and then it's a podcast, and then you have to release it. And it becomes like canon. Like it's those conspiracy guys' classic canon. People are like, oh yeah, I love them old shows. Your new shows are not like that anymore. I don't like them. And then you're like, okay, well, you can listen to the old shows again and again. Like, sorry, like some people really like.
We listened to 102 days. You just kept listening to season 1 back
over and over. That's the thing. 48,000 minutes. But like some people like Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Some people like Californication. some people like, I don't know, Stadium Arcadium. They're 3 very different albums made by 3 very different sets of men. Same men, but in very different stages of their life. And very different capabilities. Like John Frusciante came back after doing heroin for like 3 years. He came back looking like fucking Skeletor, and he was literally unable to move his fingers as fast on the guitar, so you couldn't get these screaming Jimi Hendrix solos like Blood Sugar Sex Magic. So he had to be on Californication. Bang bang, bing bang, bong bling. Like that. They're all the solos because the cunt was fucking riddled with gear. So like, some people like that. It was one of the best-selling albums of all time. But everybody else then who's like hardcore fans are like, no man, it's not fucking Mother's Milk or fucking Blood Sugar Sex Magic, man. It's not as good. It's not as good. It's like, just go listen to those albums then. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't expect shit to stay the same and still keep going. So as we went along, first season smacked, got 20,000 downloads a week, something like that in the first few weeks. And I was like, I got a golden ticket. I got a golden ticket. Like, this is the fuck. I'm right. Let's go. Everyone pull down your pants. Let's go. Like, I fucked the arse off it. First season was the last half of 2014. I recorded season 2 in the first 2.5 months of 2015. And then the old co-host, he went away to Brazil for like a year. So I had a whole year on my own going like, fuck, I don't know what to fucking do. I had a lot of episodes banked. I started doing like Swapcast and interviews and tried to like diversify my portfolio. And then we came back with season 3, got a load of other guests as well, and got extra people on, and tried to go like, well, I can't really rely on anybody. Like, this is going to have to be a solo fly, like. And set it up in such a way that I don't need anybody else really. Like, I don't need somebody to rely on to come in every day to show up proper.
I know,
to be, yeah. Because it's like, you know, a dance partner. You know, if you have a dance partner,
you're singing to the choir here now. Yeah. You are singing.
If you have a dance partner, and you know the motherfuckers showing up and they don't bring their shoes, or they don't know the steps, and they don't, you know, it's hard to fucking get better yourself. You know.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you sit down to do the podcast, you only get one shot, and once it's out there, it's out there, and if it's bad forever. So
sorry, can I do one shot?
Yeah.
To do your famous line of the whole thing: 2 shots to the back of the head. Worst case of suicide ever. All I kept hearing was also I was trying to think, you know, when you were mentioning like rock bands and you were comparing, you know, the how rock bands change and everything, but like they're at the difference between when they finish a gig and when we finish a gig. Like, they're snorting coke off hookers' holes and whatnot.
Throwing tellies out the windows.
Well, we just put on the kettle after that.
Come on, we go to Zaytoon and go home and go sleep.
You can't really do coke off like the recording equipment, like by yourself.
It all gets stuck in the sponge this way.
That's good, the glow, I suppose, can't you?
I mean, it started off something really like slapdash in my mind, but it was as good as like,
to now.
It was as good as I could do. I had, man, you know, I was making like embarrassingly like low amounts of money in that job. You know, my hours were all cut down. It was minimum wage, you know, a little bit of commission. We never got it because it wasn't in long enough. Like, an embarrassingly low amount of money. Like,
you did not fit in over there, Gordo. No. I was there a couple of times over to you in that phone shop. And while you were having the crack and watching, you know, socially fucking watching this unbelievable circus that is the... Which shopping centre was it?
ILAC Centre.
Oh, the ILAC Centre. For anybody who hasn't been to Dublin ever, forget all the tourist attractions you're ever going to go see. Just go to the ILAC Centre, stand in the centre of said centre for about 20 minutes and just watch the fucking carnage around you.
It's real. It's like a David Attenborough documentary. You know, it's fucking.
There a lot of people who look like meerkats, actually. Now that you mention it, yeah.
A sketch, bleeding sketch, man. But it was just like you know, I was putting so much effort into it, trying to plan out and make it all happen. I am Tommy, you know me, man. I'm a little bit of a control freak, and maybe I'm pushing people away, and maybe I'm like going, no man, it's this, you know, there's a fine line between like having standards.
Though, in all fairness.
Yeah, but it's you know, a fine line between having the standards and being bossy cunt, do you know? Kind of going like, I want more from it and you should too, and if you don't, then bye-bye, do you know? Like, you can't be coming in half-arsed, right? And as the seasons went on, the shows got longer. I think the first really long one was the Necronomicon episode that went over 6 hours, and we were like, oh, we can do. And that got like a couple of 100,000 downloads. I was like, I never thought 6 hours would fly as a show. You know, who'd listen to 6 hours of a podcast? And then I was like, fuck it, that's the new standard. Let's go. Boom. And it gave us so much more scope to put in as much as I really wanted. Like, I'm going to redo the 9/11 episode. I'm going to redo JFK, probably going to redo Madeleine McCann, and go as deep as I've gone in more recent episodes. But just from, like, to answer your question, from the start, season 1, I thought, this is it. If I can really fucking make this thing a thing, and it's worldwide appeal, I knew that the audience was coming from America and the UK for a start. A lot of lads who were stuck in comedy the way I was after like 5.5 or 6 years of doing it, not really getting anywhere because I didn't fucking suck the right dicks. The scope is very small. The scope for success and the scope for advancement is very small if you're not willing to play the game. And I am absolutely not willing to play the game in any way, shape or form. So I just made my own game. And then I'm winning at that game because nobody else is playing. So like, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? There is a little kind of bit of, when you get up to this level, a little bit of like, where do you go next? Like, am I going to do like Joe Rogan and go Spotify exclusive? Am I going to sign this contract? Am I going to do this thing? But for now, I'm happy to be making shows, setting up live gigs in the UK. Definitely still want to make a TV show, be it in Europe or the UK, but America's in my sights. I'm talking to people over there on that side. And the fucking, you know, it's a wide open field for me.
Oh, Lord.
As soon as the world opens back up, like, America's like square in my sights to go over, to do live shows, to fucking do interviews, and hopefully make like documentaries and a TV show or a Louis Theroux style series of docs that I had planned. Like, it's 100% ready, ripe. I just have to get there before some American motherfucker does.
I know. I was actually, as you say, I was talking about those two girls, and a more random, or those gang of girls that come in, a more random one. I was hosting a corporate gig online the other night. A chap recognized my voice because I was on it.
That's happened a couple of times, yeah.
Because he's recognized my voice because he'd been on it. It was a group of like 102 people. Like, he'd been sitting back supping a can. It was a company corporate Christmas thing. He was supping a can, went, oh, fuck a minute. Heard my voice. Like, he put his fucking hand up, basically, because there's a tech controlling who comes up in front of me and whatnot. He puts his hand up, and he'd run off and gotten himself some tinfoil, made a hat, and stuck it on himself. And I went, what's going on here? Because at the minute I was like, tell me all about, I was giving it all the corporate spiel, and so he goes, fucking those conspiracy guys, yeah. I'm like, oh my fucking God. So I found, and then I accidentally like had a 3-minute chat with this guy when I should have been talking to, but your man was all up, like he was all up in it. Like, you know what I mean? The fact that he was, that just popped in. I meant to say that to you at the top.
I think
it was,
I have for Irish.
Go on, sorry.
I think I have, like, I was looking at the stats, a couple of months ago, because I was putting together like these pitch decks and stuff for these companies to do live shows, and they're like, how many people have you got in this city? How many people have you got in this city, to try and like book to see if there's enough to fill a venue or whatever, So I counted up, I think, 77,000 fans.
Irish fans
for those conspiracy guys. So if you think about the amount of like towns and the amount of people that are in the age bracket in each town, like, you're surely wherever you go, some content.
You'd be grand.
At some point.
You'd be grand.
I remember being in Leo Burdock's one time in Temple Bar, and I was ordering fish and chips, and someone was like, "Oh, it's not you, is it? You the conspiracy guys, fucking Delhi, man, fucking 9/11, Madeleine McCann, fucking pedos." And I like, stop shouting, like, Jimmy Savile. Stop shouting Jimmy Savile.
I'm just in here for a hake. I'm just in here for the hake.
Fucking hell, man. Like, I was standing waiting for chips, and I was like, stop shouting Jimmy Savile and pointing at me and give me thumbs up and saying, "You're brilliant, Jimmy Savile, you're brilliant." Like, please. Everyone was like, he has the glasses. That's the uniform. Is he a pedo? Like, let's get him. The boys are all like, in my fucking chips, like.
Jesus Christ! Before I, because it would be, I do have to turn a corner. We need to get into fucking some of the juicy stuff, but I do. The latest one we did, what actually made me laugh, and I know I keep on referring to, I just find it so funny, the reactions from your fans when I'm on your, like, somebody, do you remember somebody thought they were really shocked that I looked like, because they were like, I think it was Madame Blavatsky or something we did, and they were like, oh, Jesus, I was expecting you to be a complete freak show with your twitchy out eyes and everything. And Gordo, you actually tweeted me. Oh, do you know why? You sound like a fucking drug addict.
I can tell you why, Tom, because Irish people have been grossly misrepresented in world media. You know,
Okay.
we're all like, you know, fucking Elephant Man looking, the Bull McCabe looking, like, with all respect to him, like when he's not done up in makeup or whatever, Unbelievables, Pat Short. Like Pat Short is a good looking man without makeup, but when he puts the stuff on, it's all the ruddy cheeks and the lumpy noses and the fucking big, like, you know, Panarasher's ears and all this kind of, like, that's what people think when they think Irish people. And then you rock in, you got like your sharp features, mullet, fucking Flavor Saver mustache, and people are, who's this lad? And you're like, well, how's it going now? And you're like, what the fuck? This does not match at all. I've got loads of Instagram DMs when people actually go and look at the Instagram and they see my face. And I've had, like, literally had on multiple occasions, and you wouldn't think of that frequently, multiple occasions, around about a dozen, where someone would send me a DM and just say, disappointed. And I go, excuse me? Question mark? Or what does this mean? And they were all like, didn't think you looked like that. And I'm like, have you had to retcon a few wanks or something like that you did? Like you thought it was way better. It looks like your voice doesn't match your face.
Regardless, Gordo, there is over the amount of hours that people have listened to you because you're banging off charts all over. You're fucking hopping off the limiter in so many fucking charts around the world. There is definitely, and I would wager right now, as a result of your voice, there's somebody either banging the flaps off themselves or pulling, to use your own phrase, pulling themselves around the room up in their tippy toes.
Yeah.
Like pulling the gearbox out of themselves right now. It's just, there has to be.
I would wonder, Tom, how many people go to sleep listening to me and have my voice like echoing around their head at night time. They don't put the sleep timer on. Or someone has been listening to a podcast and they've just been chilling out with their bird, Netflix and chilling. And they slap cheeks while we're playing in the background. They're after
oh my
slapping
God.
cheeks.
And you can't get off to fucking go over and turn it off. So you're just going, there's fucking Tom talking about fucking Oklahoma bombing shit. Yeah, and but the last one, I actually listened into the last one. God, I really, because I've done a couple of the long ones with you, and they are a fucking, you're obviously fucking at them forever, so you're expectant of it. And I think from time to time, not that I found that I got lost in the middle, but there's times when I don't want to put my hand up and say, because you're frightened, you're going to sound fucking stupid sometimes. Because of course I can't talk about fucking gaming, I can't, but I know a little about this, that, and the other. So sometimes I kind of freak people out when I end up slipping into their lexicon with things. They're like, whoa, hold on, you're not in our world. No. You fuck off over there and talk diggers and fucking sports with that man.
Your expectations are different to what, like if you're a culture, you don't know nothing about Game of Thrones. And then when you're like, well, you've obviously never gone out with a girl with 8 brothers. So I know all about Game of Thrones.
But I definitely, the last couple, I definitely felt very comfortable. I was going, do you know what, fuck? Because I was more concerned about your listeners. Am I going to come across as a fucking idiot here? Because this is obviously cutting edge stuff, even though you have all the notes put in and everything else. But definitely, like the Oklahoma bomber one, I had an absolute fucking, for me, that could have gone on. Yeah. I think you probably line me up right too. You know, that kind of way you go.
I try to pick the right people for the right job because I know what people are in. Because like you guys are all my friends, if not like acquaintances. Some of the lads I wouldn't be as friendly with as say you and me, or me and Emmett, or me and Ed, who talk like pretty regularly. Like, but I have lads on like once a season, and I mightn't talk to them for 6 months. But I know what they're about, and I know the crack. And then there's a few dark horses then as well. But like, I had a bunch of new people here. Stephen Bradley saying, who does the, what's it called, the theatre? He does like improv theatre. Fuck, I can't remember the name.
He does, big lad with a beard.
Yes, a bald head and a beard, and lovely man, very smart, funny dude. We did Mark, the murder of Mark Kilroy, but like brilliant. And I'd never met him before, but the minute he walked in to the studio, I was like, best friends for now. Yeah. Like we're not, we are on the fucking wavelength. So like when you're sitting in the place, I know that you're going to enjoy, like the Madame Blavatsky stuff. I knew you're into that kind of mystical, magical stuff. It's a little bit off brand for maybe like Tom the countryman, you know. But like, you don't have to fucking fit into a box. Just the same way that people would expect me to have certain opinions on certain things because there's a conspiracy moniker, and I'm like, I don't agree with that, and they're like, well, you haven't passed our purity test. And I'm like,
That's the other thing I was going to ask you, because people are so like fucking, I want to write your name in blood, Gordo. You know, like, and I can only imagine what chaps in America get. But obviously, probably the same because you have such an American fan base. But also, do you get pulled? Like, you would get pulled up a lot, no doubt. But because you haven't fitted into it, I think we talked about this before. You obviously have easygoing people listening, but there's what I find sometimes people who are really into conspiracies, they're often quite angry at something else, and they're looking for experts to give them an answer as to why that thing isn't the way. Why isn't it the way it is?
Yeah.
And then they're on board with everything, and it's open season. But what I've noticed with you, you're almost journalistic, and you're going, well, no, this is fucking what is there. Yeah. This is all I can fucking tell you, and these are my opinions on it. But you stick to your guns on certain things, and I wonder, do some people go, "Hey, Gordo, come on! I thought you were all in the boat with us with the crazy town." You know.
Yeah, there is like a logical fallacy that I tend to throw out there to let people know, like, this is not a right way to be thinking. It's like a no true Scotsman fallacy, where it's like, you know, no true Scotsman would wear underpants with a kilt, for example. You know, so it's like no true conspiracy theorist would ever believe that I don't know, masks are functional or appropriate, or that, you know. So, and I'm like, well, I wear masks. I don't want to scare grannies in Lidl or Tesco. Yeah. Like, I don't want to fuck off people. I don't want to get in unnecessary negative social interactions with people when they're like, put on your mask, you can't come in. And I'm like, just let me in. And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, just go somewhere else. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to fucking fight for me right to walk into a shopping center because I don't want to wear. Like, it's just like the options that people would afford you as their opinion of who you're supposed to be. And then when you deviate from that opinion, when they reach out to you personally and you deviate from that opinion, they're like, I don't like you anymore. I was like, well, she fucking loved me 40 minutes ago until you started talking to me, and then you asked me a question, and because I'm not the thing that you... Do you know what it is? It's the titty test. This is the titty test, right? And I've thought about this. Do you know you meet a girl and you're having a romantic entanglement, and you bring her home, or wherever, but you bring her home, and she has a lovely big pair of titties in her jumper, and they're all packed into the jumper real nice. And the girls listening to this now will know, like, you've functional bras and you've the good bra, right? So when you've the good bra on, you're going on a date or you're out for the night, you've the good bra on, tits are all in the right shape, they're all in the right place, they're pointing the right way. And then you get into something physical, and you start rubbing and touching. And then all of a sudden it's time to fucking release the beasts. And there's no fella in the whole world that I know of or have ever heard of that when a pair of tits that would be nice in the jumper, in the good bra, get released out of that bra and they start hanging around, or like one is longer than the other, or the two nipples point skew ways, like some lad has crossed eyes or something like that. Like, no fella is going to look at a girl who's just released her tits out of the good bra, and if they look a bit bandy, is going to go, come here, I'm actually grand I'm actually good. Like, there's nobody going to do that. So what happens is people reach out to me and go, hey, Gordo, fucking masks, right? Fucking dopes. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm okay with masks. Like, yeah, but it's like, it's a symbol of like oppression. It's a sub-psychological control from the top. Like, if you put on the mask, it means like it's a non-verbal contract to be like controlled by an oligarchical system and fucking. And I'm like, no, it's not, man. It's just like, don't scare grannies, because they're dying. You know, don't have a fight with a bouncer in a pub because he wants you to wear a fucking mask until you sit down at the just, you know. And they're like, you used to be cool, man. Fuck you and your gammy tits. And I'm like, but they're still tits, bro. Like, you were perfectly willing to fuck with me when my tits were in my jumper, and then you asked me to show you my tits, and then I showed you my tits. Then you're like, I don't like them tits, and I don't like you anymore. It's such a fucking weird phenomenon that I don't know of anywhere else. I don't know of any other business.
Only you could pull off a fucking analogy like that. That's fucking gorgeous. You know what I mean?
Most people wouldn't say no.
I had a folk band on a couple of months back called the Mary Wallopers. The fucking boys are brilliant. Their boys are fucking brilliant, and they're messers. And they went down and they kind of they went down to, I suppose, not protest, but they went down to throw a spanner in the works of Gemma O'Doherty and her far hard right wing. You heard about these lads?
Video, deadly.
For anybody wondering, the lads, basically, she's far hard right wing. And she's like she's reading from the textbook. I don't believe she believes half the things she does.
You know what? I think it's performative. It's nearly a performance.
Absolutely performative. Yeah. She's in that deep now. She's like, well, this is what and it's poor on misfortunes. You see them; they've all bad legs walking around after her, and everything. It's people who have been fucked by the system so much way, and she's telling them that she's going to sort it. They're down at this beach in Drogheda, and they're going, "No more fan G." So the lads turn up with they had t-shirts made up going, "Bring back dial-up. Bring back dial-up," right? So they've got their tinfoil hats on, the whole lot. They've got banners and everything. And it's all like bring back fucking like old shit like Glen Rowe and stuff. And there was this woman who'd seen him and she went, "Oh, it's the Mary Wallopers. God, this is great. You're on board with Gemma. Fantastic." And she wasn't seeing the irony in what they were doing. Like, and then she realized that they were taking the piss because that's what the lads do. They take the piss. And like she had been a huge fan of theirs and literally wrote on their Facebook page, "Up until that moment, I was a huge fan. And then I wanted to puke the moment I thought of your music." You're like, what? It's still really good music before.
The music has not changed.
No.
You know? This is the thing. No. So now more than ever, Tom, and I won't labour the point, but now more than ever, the phrase that comes to my mind every time I see this shit, the news has become binary. Fake news has become it's a shit show. Okay, CNN sucks, but fake news. What people are dividing themselves into two camps. There's this weird like, are you with us or you're against us? If you're not with us, you are the enemy. Very like Civil War type of mentality, right? And the phrase that comes to my mind every day when I'm looking at the news or I'm looking at Twitter, I'm looking at people arguing, and not even listening to the other side. They're just arguing, going, my thing, and then the other person's going, my thing. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are.
Yeah.
And if those people are mad at the Mary Wallopers for doing a joke, which makes them, which takes away the possibility of joy from listening to their songs that they used to like that's a fucking crime. Like that's such a fucking like a posthumous loss of joy. Like you're killing old joy.
Yeah.
You're killing joy that you had for years, deleting joy in your life that you had from years ago that was keeping you going now, which is making you now more embittered and more angry, because when you think back on years ago, or even like, think back on years ago, it's like, man, I was never happy. I've never been happy. I haven't been happy for years. And it's like, no, motherfucker, you deleted all your happiness in 6 weeks because you started going to fucking Gemma O'Doherty rallies and she started telling you all the people you're supposed to hate, and then all the TV shows that you're not supposed to like anymore, that you spent hours watching, that's all gone. All the fucking music that you like, you're not allowed to like that shit anymore. So all the times that you spent enjoying 48,000 minutes, some can't listen to the show. Can you imagine if he changed his mind about me? That's 34 full days of his life that he has deleted the joy from, because he changed his mind about how he feels about me. Like, don't let your fucking decisions today kill joy that you've already felt, because you look back and you'll have nothing but blackness, which leaves nothing but blackness in the future. Like, it's fucking making angry people angrier.
That's the thing. I think people need to be like, I had Jim on a couple of weeks ago, and I never really thought about the outlook of my podcast. Jim Elliott on a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, yeah, but whatever way it came up in conversation, you said, but sure, your podcast is a positive outlook on life, like.
Yeah.
Sure, your podcast is a very happy, positive thing, like. And I went, oh, I suppose it is, yeah. Like,
except
as a comedian,
cunts like me on.
no, but the crack is still 90, like, regardless.
Yeah,
like, and you can dance, and you're still looking at things. But I think it's a very good lesson that you point out there, is that because negativity is an awful it's a fucking old disease.
Yeah.
And no matter, like, you can be, yes, you can have a fucking dose going on in your life. Like, I'm a comedian, having a fucking pot to piss in, but what's the point in cribbing? No cunt is going to do it for me. Do you know what I mean? So fucking horse into it and get fucking happy. Like, at least get rid of those negative cunts that to be whinging in your fucking ear. And I don't give a fuck if they're a family member. Give them the fucking road. They're good for nothing.
But let's take that into, let's drill a little bit deeper into that then. You as a comedian, since you have started after lads who were very negative, who were very, not negative, but just not positive in their outlook towards comedy as a career, and you have fucking sailed past them like a knacker on an electric scooter. guys, like, vroom. As far as like success, exposure, you've been on telly, you've been in feature films, you've been on fucking stages all over the place. Shit that fucking, you know, Bono would be thinking twice about stepping on stages that you stepped on, right? Because you're positive about it all. Nobody wants a fucking cunt on tour. Nobody wants someone who's going to come in and give out everybody else. Whoever's not in the room, they're going to be shitting about them. Nobody wants that guy in the fucking room because you're sucking the joy out of it. I was a cunt for that, Tom. Trying to in my time of trying to figure out why I wasn't successful, I was trying to measure myself against other people's success and go on, he must be, and he must, you know, just negativity coming. It's no good for anybody. You as a very positive person, you say you might not have a pot to piss in, but how many comedians out there are crying and cribbing and sniping and you know, sending emails going like, you want to watch that lad, not trying to fucking undercut people's prices and doing all, because they're not feeling the joy, they're not getting that success. Like if you're putting it out, you're getting it back, and I think that's a huge part of those conspiracy guys' success.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I'm coming into it going, I love this shit. I'm squeezing my nipples now through my jumper. I love this shit. I love
audio listeners. He is inspecting both of these, and they and
the point the same way and everything. But it's just it's just like, I love it, and you can hear it in my voice that I love thinking about it. I love talking about it. I love fucking. I like how it smells. I like how it tastes. Like it's like. Do you know? It's like I'm just but I do, man.
I don't know why that made me so happy.
I love it. I really love it. Now some of the parts
there's conspiracy podcasts running down Gordo's chin right now, in his ears and everything, and he doesn't give a shit. He's
like a fucking bulldog's out drinking out of a saucer of milk and just fucking covered in shit. Like, but like there's some parts of it that are annoying, you know, editing and writing out all the stuff and fucking editing HTML on the website and fucking, you know, file management and fucking, you know, work basically.
Actually, look, Gordo, you have to fucking service your Ferrari too at some stage in your life. You know what I mean? You can't be just always driving it. Like, you know what I mean? This is.
You got to do the work. That's the work part. But the job part, the stuff that nobody else can do, is me sitting in the chair after fucking researching for 3 weeks, putting all the stuff into my head and going bang, 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 bang. That's not work at all. But to somebody else, it will be impossible. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So,
I got a lot of lovely messages actually from your listeners after the last podcast we did. A lot
Oklahoma one was
of people were really, really nice.
Yeah. It broke all records. I think I said in 72 hours it got 198,000 downloads.
Lord Jesus, Mary and Joe.
Record-breaking release. Yeah, it was the first long episode in a while, and people were just like, give me that shit. Like, we were like hungry for it. But it was the last recorded episode of season 7, which was a long time ago recorded now. And I got corona, so I've been out of the fucking game for like 3.5 weeks. I couldn't lift my head up for 12 days, Tom. Christ almighty. And so I couldn't do any editing. So I'm working on Malcolm X episode now, which has Emmett and Gary Lynch on it. Which should be coming out tomorrow the 12th. No, tomorrow the 8th of December or whatever. So yeah, man, it's a labour of joy and love and positivity, and there's not any like, oh man, this is fucking bullshit, or fuck's sake, I have to go to work now. That shit it never comes into my head.
Yeah.
And people can feel it. And the same with you. Like, you never shy away from hard work.
We had some fucking work to do the night we went to Galway. Do you remember that night? Oh, fuck me. Just before.
That was... You had to do a show as well as that, though. That's the thing. I got to sit in the audience.
I had to do a 2-hour show after that. Basically, what had happened was, with the a bushing had broken in the fucking wiper motor of the car. And driving into a rainy, mid-fucking late Galway, the fucking wipers. And we couldn't park up.
Was flooded. We're talking
flooded,
about
proper rain, like
Noah biblical levels of fucking rain, and we're in the car on the road, tying up. I don't know what was it. What did we tie to the fucking motors?
It was because we said, Jesus, we better do something to pull the wipers back and forth, like some 2 lads in fucking deep Africa with a fucking like a Nissan Patrol.
Flintstones or some shit.
It was like something the Flintstones. I went to the first aid kit. It was a bandage, a roll of bandage. So Gordo tied onto the left hand wiper, and I tied onto the right hand wiper. And the windows down, pissing in rain in the top of us, pulling back and forth.
For 40 minutes doing it like the fucking Chuckle Brothers, going to me, to you, to me, and I was pulling the left, and it was like, let it go, Tom, let it go. If we hadn't got caught by the guards, man, you would have been pulled out of the car. Yeah, pulled out of the car.
Forget about it. The thing was, we had to get to the show because I was doing Caveman in the whatchamacallit, in the fucking the theatre.
Town hall, go away.
And we took gun it on the way back just in case the rain caught us. We had to fucking bullet back as hard as she'd go on the fucking way back to Dublin. Thank fuck. But yeah, that was the last time. No, I suppose we've kind of rounded the corner on a few things, and we've gotten nicely fucking warmed up on whatnot. And it wouldn't be, my listeners wouldn't forgive me if I didn't fucking get into some of the fucking stuff, because you are the fucking man when it comes to this. Now, obviously your episodes, and you're great at keeping them evergreen. They're very big, strong episodes because, like you were saying, I could do a weekly one and just fucking, almost like a magazine show of what's happening now. Yeah. But your Twitter, for anybody who doesn't follow Gordo, get on his Those Conspiracy Guys on Twitter, is very, very good, because you're just putting up just very interesting, thought-provoking articles like, oh, fuck, I'd wonder what that is. And that's what you kind of do. You don't go, look at these pack of cunts. You kind of put it up there going, yeah, let's have an old look-see-wooksy at this, because some queer shenanigans, and there's been so much of it that I don't know which way is up with the American presidential election. Like,
it's possibly going to be one of the biggest conspiracies of all time, Tom. We're talking about Watergate times 1,000. Like, serious shenanigans. But it's not in the mainstream media. It's not in the mainstream news, so people aren't believing it. In fact, it's been put out to the fringes of what would you call it, acceptable conversation online. Twitter and Facebook are actually like putting markers under everybody that shares that, and it's all like, this is lies, big red box underneath it, like, this is bullshit. And then going in front of like House Oversight Committees, Mark Zuckerberg and Jack Dorsey having to sit and answer questions when the lads are going like, okay, so you're saying this is lies, and here's the evidence for this thing being true. But how are you not having an undue influence over the elections by using your platform as a publisher to edit content, which is against what was called Article 230, which is basically like allowing social media to be used as a tool for political advertisement, or not, like, as the case may be.
Like Cambridge Analytica did.
Yeah, to pull back the capabilities of being able to do that, or their internal censorship. And Twitter and Jack Dorsey were going like, well, we don't do that. We've never done that. We never would do that. And then about 2.5 months ago, somebody hacked into Twitter. Now, hacked in at the core of Twitter. Hacked into like Obama's account and Hillary's account and fucking Oprah's account on Twitter with millions of followers, downloaded all their DMs. You know the way you can go and download your archive? Downloaded all the archives and all. One night in the middle of the night, nobody knew what was going on. They got into the main Twitter interface, and there's actually a dashboard of censorship that says, like, censor this guy, shadow ban this lad, and there's all buttons that you can put on people's accounts. So they had Republican congressmen coming up to the election tweeting away, trying to talk to his followers. And she was fucking a fart in the wind because Twitter had him shadow banned. So shadow ban means like you're banned, but you don't know you are, and nobody who's following you knows.
Nasty bastard.
He was putting stuff up and it wasn't showing up on anyone's feed. You had to go into his account to see the thing. So there's all of this mad shit going on that's so deep within this like election fraud. It could be like the biggest conspiracy of all time, really.
And do you like there's images of like, because I have cousins in the state who are conservative in the States who are conservatives, and they were unabashedly Trump related. I think Trump had benefited them a lot too. I know their wagon is conservative regardless, and that's just always the thing I find interesting about American politics. They're like, well, we are blue or we are red, and if they put a turkey with a hat on, we're going to vote for that. I often find that strange where they don't look in. Sometimes it would seem they don't look into policies, but I think Trump had been quite good for them in whatever way it had panned out for them. But I don't think, and even as I was saying to Jim, regardless if the man had put an extra 2 inches of every fella's Mickey in the country, he was not getting a second term. Simple as fucking that. He won't get it. Like,
let's put it this way, right? Donald Trump, the amount of votes that were actually counted for him exceeded what was for the biggest voter turnout of all time, which is Obama's 2008 presidential election. Donald Trump himself, they're saying like Biden has exceeded the most amount of votes for any US election of all time by 10 million votes. Donald Trump did it by 8 million votes. But nobody's talking about that. Nobody ever says that. So it's like selective positivity, you know? People are saying like Trump this election beat Obama in 2008. So if Trump had went up against Obama with these numbers, he would have won against Obama.
Yeah.
You know?
So
people aren't paying attention to that kind of stuff. And then very, in my mind, in my opinion, very obvious improprieties with the election structure and the execution of the election parameters constitutionally. So like in the states that were seemingly battleground states for this election, which was Wisconsin, Michigan, Georgia. This is all top of the head now, so it might not be 100% on the ball, but Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, and Arizona, they were all kind of questionable, right?
Yeah.
So as soon as they could, the news media started calling the presidential election for Biden. And this happened back in the Bush-Gore time when they called it for Bush, and then Gore kind of countered, and then they called it for Gore, and then Bush went, no. Count that Florida shit again. And Jeb Bush, his brother, was the governor of Florida at the time, and you know, whatever. And it wound up, after the count was recounted, that Bush had won by like 537 votes or something like that, which means he got Florida, which means he got, I think, 20 electoral college votes, which put him over to 270, right?
Yeah.
But this time around, there have been boxes of fucking ballots that have been found in their tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. There have been videos of people throwing ballots, taking in boxes of ballots and throwing them away or not counting them. The way that the systems worked, there's like computer, for a lotto machine, and you take off all the numbers, and then you pop it in, and so there's this type of machine where they were feeding the physical ballots into, and the machine was totting it up. It's made by a company called Dominion, and Dominion was used in Venezuela to very obviously.
I thought you were going to say it was a little fella in Despicable Me.
Because of my election. It's going to be it was to get Chavez in. Basically, there was like voter impropriety, and when you put all the fucking votes into the machine, someone can just hack in super handy. Like there's almost wide open administrative capabilities, right? And then Paul Pelosi, who's Nancy Pelosi's son, Nancy Pelosi is the Democratic Speaker of the House, aka fucking Skeletor, right? Good morning, Sunday morning. Like, fucking put her. If she was a dog, you bring her out and shoot her, right? She's something else. See, she's the one that ripped up Trump's fucking speech. Do you remember that? He made a speech and he gave everyone a copy, and then at the end she was just like ripping it up. Like, she's a fucking sour cunt, right? And her son has like controlling shares in the Dominion company that owns the fucking voting machines that were in like 30 states, right? So Michigan called in this shit saying like at 3:30 in the morning, Joe Biden's numbers, it was all like, it was going for Trump, all the counties, all the votes were being tallied, and then at 3:30 in the morning, Joe Biden's votes jumped up by 140,000 in like 3 counties, and it meant that he won. And you're like, well, where did they all come from, and why were they only counted at 3:30 in the morning? Then they went in to look at the fucking security cameras. Apparently everyone was told to go home at 10:30 that night, and there was 5 people left over, and those 5 people have been videoed like handing shit back and forth. The same in Georgia. When you count all the votes, you put it onto a little USB key. So there's people like handing these USB keys around the place, and they were swapping them over and then giving them to the official count, and they were plugging them into the machine, and it was going giving Joe Biden hundreds of thousands of extra votes in Georgia. And there's videos of them doing it, bringing in. There's a new video out at the moment where there's like 4 people are bringing in like a big trunk at 9:30 in the morning.
I saw that, yeah.
And stashing it under a table. And then at 10:30 that night, when everyone else has been home, there's 5 people left in the office, and they go over to that trunk and they start pulling boxes of fucking ballots and going over to the machine and going for bump. And then they checked in with the system what was going on. So on those ballots, you're supposed to vote all the way down. So it'll be Joe Biden, and then if you're a Democrat, you vote all the Democrat lads all the way down. But they didn't vote for all the people all the way down. There's just one tick for Joe. And they all came in at like 1:30 in the morning. And they all came in at the same time, and the people had the fucking security camera watching those people chunking, cha-chung, cha-chung, putting them into the machine. And then the numbers just went ba-joing up like 100,000 for like
Isn't that a fairly
so
fucking
weird.
lumpy way of doing it? Like, you know what I mean? If you like, as you said, hack in if you need to hack in, but why do you think they needed him out of the picture? Like, what's Joe got? Albeit he does kind of like they're all like there's none of them fucking normal. They've all been fucking weird for okay, Obama, albeit, I mean, he fucking droned more misfortunes out in the Middle East than anybody else. Like, but he was a bit slick. Then they'd fucking Bush before him.
Obama built those cages that those Mexican kids were in that they were getting shit about. Like, he built them motherfuckers, like, you know.
But you see, the whole rhetoric worldwide, because there'll be people listening to this, they're going, "Era now, boys." But all Gordo could do is actually point out the actual physical facts and go, "Well, there's the fucking facts. Let's make of it what you will." But like I said, old fucking Trump was not getting. He was not getting. They were either going to shoot the fucker or not, because he was not getting a second term. You could see it. Too many people. He was either embarrassing people on the world stage, or he was poking into something he shouldn't have been fucking poking into, I reckon.
Like, I tell you, Tom, now, between yourself and myself and the wall.
I fucking hope not. Like, I get you. I kind of hope not.
Well, this is going to be going out on my feed as well for a Swapcast.
Oh, yeah.
But I tell you, between yourself and the wall, I don't know would I count out Trump yet. They're going to the Supreme Court. Yeah, there's legal ramifications and all going on with all this shit. Like Rudy Giuliani, as leaky and weird and fucking pulled back and scrotum-like as he may be, he's a fucking lunatic and he will not stop. They have,
what happened to him altogether? He, like, back when he fucking brought down the mafia and was running New York, fucking, he turned New York around. Like, he was some man, like, back in the day. He just gone a bit fucking old?
I don't know, man. Age is a motherfucker, right? You're talking about, like, you see Joe Biden falling apart like a wet cake.
Actually, sniffing young one's hair and every fucking thing. He's very strange.
The speeches that he's making, man. You want to watch these videos, and he's like, and then I was saying the Kamala, and there was hooty booty 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 booty. Like, it's so odd, and he's just like, Gillette, the best man could get. Come on, man. Like, it's so bizarre the shit that he comes out with, right? And Rudy Giuliani, like, is doing all of these meetings in, like, Pennsylvania, having all these, like, legal hearings in Pennsylvania. And the mainstream media are like, 30 of Trump's court cases, 29 of them got thrown out of court. It's like, they weren't Trump's cases. They were people. There's like private citizens, witnesses. There's like Republican poll watchers that were not allowed to watch the polls being. There's a system, Tom, right, where you take out the poll, you take out the vote, the ballot, right. And
I thought there was some bloke called Vladimir. Sorry, go on.
Hey guys, you vote for Trump, yes? Get back in your box.
You poll.
The ballot, right? And if it's in any way, like, I guess, like, ambiguous, you have on your left shoulder a Democratic poll watcher and on your right shoulder a Republican poll watcher. And you go, okay, well, I don't know about that. Poll watchers, and then they come over, poll watchers assemble, and they all come over like Iron Man or whatever, right? They come behind you. And then you're like, oh man, I'm a jacket. That's not cool. Here, have a look at this ballot.
You're gonna fuck.
Have a look at this ballot. And the Democrat lad will look at it and the Republican lad will look at it and they'll say, okay, well, look, it looks like an X for Joe Biden. It's not totally fully for Joe, but like it's definitely in the ballpark. And then if the Republican poll watcher concedes and the Democratic person like asserts themselves as that's a Joe Biden thing, and the Democrat the Republican is like, yeah, go on, it goes in the pile for Joe. But what was happening was Republican lads being allowed in to places. They were being put out. They were kept like 150 feet away. They said you're allowed in the building, but you're not allowed to stand over our shoulders. Like, so much impropriety. All this constitutional fucking shenanigans, right? So Trump is going at this not on votes and not on, you know, trying to get people on fraud and trying to catch cunts, like bringing in boxes of stuff, because it's very difficult to prove. It's almost a criminal case at that point. It'll take ages. But there's a cutoff on the 13th of December where if Trump hasn't conceded the election, which he's supposed to do, then it goes to the Supreme Court and it goes to the system of decision that's made by the states themselves. So the states themselves will go, okay, well, we're not going to go with the electoral college because the votes have been tampered with. We're going to go to kind of like a higher court decision panel. And in each state, then they're going to go, well, look, my constituents are Republican or my constituents are Democrat. Here's what I vote. I'm going to vote for Trump. So it ends up being like the states vote, and it's whoever gets like the 52, the most out of 52, they become the president then. And then the Supreme Court has to sign off on it. That's a very simplified version of that. But like basically the election votes won't count if it's done like this through this Supreme Court constitutional
if they
lawsuit.
find it to be fucking hooky.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But there's enough evidence there. There's enough video evidence, enough circumstantial evidence. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, Tom, poll watchers who were volunteers, ballot counters, all these people working in the election place that all have come forward and said, I've signed an affidavit. And you're signing this thing and it's going into a federal court, Tom. So that's like saying like, I'm bearing false witness on a police report for a crime. Like you can then face criminal charges, obstruction of justice and all this stuff and be fined and go to jail yourself. So why would these people, well, I know why, but why would these people, potentially go to jail for 5 years for, treasonous acts and, legally contemptuous lies in a federal court? They're going like, I seen some shit happened. I don't think it's right. And then you look at who Joe Biden is, and you look at who Harris is, and you look at all behind them on their side. Like Nancy Pelosi, man, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer tagged on a load of shit to what was called the relief bill, which is going to give money into the paws of people in America to go, come here. Yeah. We didn't know it was going to go on this long. Here's another dig out. And it was up into the hundreds of millions, if not the hundreds of billions, if not into the trillions, to go like cash, keep the country going. Tagged on a load of shit to it, which made it impossible for Trump to sign off on it. Because he's like, well, I'm not going to give the people of America $1.2 trillion and break it down over the next few months if I also have to give $800 billion to all of your fucking mates, Nancy Pelosi. And she's like, well, we won't sign it if you don't have that on it, so suck a lemon. And Trump was like, ugh. So she goes on the news and they're like, why won't you sign off on this thing, Nancy? And Nancy goes, because I don't want, that's how she sounds like, I don't want Donald Trump's signature to be on these checks going out to people's houses because he'll get all the credit for it. Like, you fucking dry cunt. Just give people the fucking money. Just sign the thing, right? And now with this vaccine on the horizon, they're talking about giving another stimulus check for $1,500, but you can only get that on receipt of the vaccine. So you can go in and go like, jab me with the vaccine for $1,500 because I'm fucking smashed, bro.
Yeah.
Like these are the people you're dealing with. They're, the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes of the world is coming out going, universal social income, Medicare for all this fucking shit. But these Democrats are literally the establishment that every conspiracy theorist is pushing and fighting against. And I think that's why a lot of people and a lot of the conspiracy heads are all kind of going, well, Trump is different. Not supporting Trump as such, but leaning towards kind of what he's doing, which is rebelling, disrupting the system. Like Joe Biden is taking money off China, is taking money off Wall Street. They are going to be, if he gets in, the lobby presidency. They are going to be every fucking big company, every fucking like big oil, big electricity, fracking is up, fucking buying in China, fucking, lashing out houses, all the shenanigans that were going on before, establishment shenanigans, untouchable cunts in suits with no faces.
Like it's always been.
Always been. They are being represented by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and being bought and paid for. Joe did an interview the other day and he said, if me and Kamala have a disagreement, so me and Barack, we had disagreements. Come on, man. And he said, if me and Kamala have a disagreement on an ideological level, what's going to happen is I'm going to get ill and I'm going to have to step down and she'll become the president. And you can see Kamala's face going like, what are you saying, Joe? Her murderous, disingenuous laugh. Like, it's so mad, Tom. Like, this is like the last episodes of the last season of fucking House of Cards. Like, this shit is for reals. The most fucked up time in America.
The only thing is, they talked about from your point of view, they say like don't be heading to the Klondike back in the day to fucking dig for gold. Be the fella fucking handing out the shovels, selling the shovels. Like
The man selling the shovels made the most money. Absolutely.
You know what I mean? But right now, like come hell or high water, Gordo, Rochford is like, have all the shovels, lads, get rooting at that, because you know what I mean. This is conspiracy sandwiches.
100%.
Like there's lads fucking into conspiracies on fucking building sites, and them cunts would have never even fucking opened a newspaper back in the day. Do you know what I mean? Like it's because it's just it's so interesting. And like I watched a thing the other night, and it was actually, I couldn't believe you haven't seen it, but in all the gazillions of hours of things you will watch it at some stage, called Above the Majestic. And
the Majestic 12 doc, is it?
No, it's not. It's actually they are mentioned at the beginning and going, okay, they're there. Now wait and you see what's above it.
Right.
Oh, and it fucked me like 2.5 hours later. And it was Rob Lowe. Actually, listen to Rob Lowe, his podcast. He's great podcast too. It's such a light little podcast to listen to. But
he's wonderful, man.
He's a fucking wonderful man. But he taught, I listened to it, and there was just a little clip note in it going, well, the reason why fucking Trump isn't fucking well liked, obviously he doesn't do he's a bad dancer too, really bad dancer. That's always going to stand against you in America. When you have good, but also they were saying,
it was very dad at a wedding. It was very dad at a wedding.
It is a rough watch, yeah. And he giving thumbs up like he is to the daughter of the bride. Good girl. I paid for all this. Good girl. And I've 10 pints of fucking caroling in now, and I'm fucking locked. Caroling too, like. But they were saying the thing was he was, the reason why he was out the fucking door was because he was rooting into things he shouldn't be rooting into. Like he was willing. He wanted to basically see into the fuck. Now I'm probably jumping too far ahead here, but he wanted to open up, because above him there was much more above him. The presidency, and he wanted to see, and then he wanted to look into things like, hold on, CIA, what the fuck were you doing over there? What the fuck are you doing over there?
I tell you, Tom, the fucking shot.
That's why he was getting a slap in the arse.
They shot JFK because he wanted to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces. That's what he said. It was a law to themselves. They are the deep state. They're the lads. They're part of the infrastructure. They're part of the apparatus that's running all the shit behind the scenes. The letter agencies, NSA, FBI, CIA, all that shit. Like, they're all running the fucking game behind the scenes. And when Trump got in first, the FBI made it their business to get him out by any means necessary. And I remember watching on C-SPAN, like watching the court proceedings with this book called Peter Strzok, who was like the assistant to the top dude in the FBI, assistant to the FBI. And Peter Strzok is sitting in front of Congress, giggling, lying through his fucking teeth about this thing that they call the Steele dossier, which we all know as the Russian piss dossier, where there was a story where Trump got prostitutes to piss on the bed because of the Obama state or whatever. And it was just like part of a whole system to upend the Trump presidency after Hillary, because Hillary was supposed to take over 4 years ago. And this fucking, this Trojan horse was supposed to trundle on, and all of these controls and all this stuff. And I can see how people can join dots that may not be joinable with the likes of, like, say, the coronavirus coming up to the election. And then when Black Lives Matter want to go out and protest, everyone looks the other way. When now it's coming up to Thanksgiving and Trump is still the president, they're not talking about the amount of people that might die. Anyone that's coming out and saying, like, this X amount of thousands of people died today, they're blaming Trump. They're not saying nothing about the Democrats. They're not saying nothing about the House's opinions or the House's, like, regulations on social distancing, on statewide medical care, and all of these other apparatus. They're just, like, focusing in and just going, Trump is the problem. It's a cult of personality that's been inverted. These motherfuckers were supposed to run the show for 4 more years, and Hillary got ousted. Trump was a disruptor, and they're like, we have to stop him. And there's lads at work in the letter agencies at the very highest level to make sure that he doesn't get another 4 years, because another 4 years of this is going to result in civil war, which wouldn't be bad for them either, because they get to impose more control mechanisms, martial law and all that crack. it's going to result in definitely one way or the other. There's going to be a massive economic downturn, massive economic crash in 2020. It's absolutely inevitable. Like with what's going on, that will upend the dollar, destroy the dollar, and allow push towards a cashless society using, say, something like a system ratified cryptocurrency, right? So we did the whole series on the financial episodes. And JP Morgan made Morgan Coin and all of these like official terms going into, like they don't want people using cash because of coronavirus, so they're, you know, making people go into fucking cryptocurrency. Everybody's digital, you know. And then there's people are talking about vaccines, having fucking nanobots that's going to fucking, you know, follow you around and be GPSs for you and to hear your thoughts and shit. And I'm like, they don't need to put the fucking shit in the vaccines, man.
Inside your pocket.
You have your fucking phone. Your phone is already doing all of that stuff. I mean, you, Nassim Snowden said it in 2011 for a fact. Yeah. The rest of us knew it in 2009 and 10. But like he came out and said, this is happening. These are all CIA and NSA programs and functions where you can switch microphones on mobile devices, find people wherever they are, switch any camera in the fucking world on to see some cunt having a wank in a cave next to a dialysis machine. Like, it's going to happen.
Hey, do you think I reckon you're on a list. Surely with the Jays, because
100%.
This is the longest we have been able to actually interact. And you have one of the most powerful fucking internets in Dublin.
Yeah.
And I now have a good internet. And we haven't been. When Gordo rings me on regular phone, there's always a weird tone about 4 or 5 seconds in every single fucking time. And his phone calls in one of the most fucking first world countries in its capital city, his fucking phone calls drop all the fucking time. So we speak sometimes on WhatsApp or whatever, but even that will fucking often drop in the middle of it. It's the most bizarre thing. But I said
we were talking the other day and I said vaccine and the oak just cut off immediately after I said the word vaccine. But you know, if you're worried about analysts and you're worried about people listening to you talking about stuff and you're worried about not being able to talk about it because you're going to be put on a list or there's someone listening or someone is going to make life difficult for you into the future, you might as well just fucking finish up. You might as well just roll it over because this shit is going to be talked about. This shit is going to be heard. You're either going to hear it one way or the other, be it positive or negative. And if you're afraid of what might happen if you talk about a certain thing, they've already got you.
And come here, I want to know, give us a fucking light sprinkling of some of the fucking big old shenanigans worldwide that the likes of the CIA have been up to, and maybe numbered crowds that we haven't fucking heard of. Like, we hear these phrases like, you know, fucking shadow army and military complexes and all the rest of it. I know we were forewarned by fucking was it Eisenhower said, "Buys, what's coming around the corner? 'Tis fucking bad news." And
the military industrial complex, as it's called, that's what Eisenhower warned us against. Right? It doesn't just take in the military, and people have been bamboozled by that. You know, the intelligence agencies know so much about all of us, and with the voluntary adoption of and the commodification and weaponization of the ego, people have started to put themselves out there to tell all their stuff, to check in, as it were, to places. Now there is, like in the last maybe 2 years, a mass exodus from Facebook, but people are still into Instagram and they think it's something different. It's the same fucking company, right? And
it actually says it up the start of it these days. I only noticed that the other day. It's like Instagram, Facebook. Facebook. This is something I needed to ask you because you definitely would know about this, and I know I'm cutting across you. But did you ever see that post I put up, that Paul Marsh? He Call of Duty. Did you ever? And I've talked about this in the podcast.
Yes, your face is in Call of Duty World War II, 100%, and in another game as well. I think they stole your face, bro. I've sent you that a couple of times.
Yeah, you sent me the other one. Then you sent me the one from what's the other one? You drive? No, all right.
Driver 76 as well. You're in, yeah.
There's another one. It's all the one where you drive around banging hookers and Miami and coke. What is it?
Grand Theft Auto.
Vice City. The latest one of them. The poster. And I a few times have gone, fuck off. Maybe it's just a generic white bloke. But when you sent it on to me a couple of more, it's like somebody's. And I know a bloke who works for Rockstar or works for a competing crowd. I went to school with him. He's in Canada now, but he works for a competing crowd to Rockstar. And he said, I don't think they stole your face, Tom. but they possibly stole your face in
100%.
in
It's you,
that
dude.
they
In that
look
Call of
for-
Duty World War II, Tom, it is absolutely you. 100%. 100%.
It's-
Like, there's very few people I know that have this whole eyes, nose section that are the configuration that you have your eyes and nose. And that's
I suppose, yeah.
That's how all the fucking software tells people apart, is from the eyebrows, eyes, and nose configuration. That's what the fucking yoke does. Scans your shit. It's absolutely you, 100%. It was like you went into the game and made it, and then they went, "Oh, that's a great face. Here, come on." You know the way you can fucking make your own face, like 100% you. So they're taking people's stuff, man. They're taking people's, like, you when you agree in these fucking terms and conditions, do you want to share your analytics? And it's just something you're just like, yeah, go on. Yes. Agree. Accept. Like, a lot of people don't know what they're accepting to. Like, if you buy a keyboard, I have a Logitech keyboard here, and it says you want to share your analytics and input to help make this product better.
Oh, the same one on the way, actually.
Yeah. How the fuck do you know if what you're typing in, if you're typing in passwords or you're typing in, like, diary entries?
Oh, shit, man. I never even thought of that.
That they're taking your keystrokes and sending them off to Logitech. Because, like, maybe say for the design of the keys, how close they are together, if you're typing, like, sold, like SOLD, the O and the L are quite similarly, like, they're quite close together, and the S and the D are quite close together. So, like, if the ergonomics of the keyboard makes it so that people end up spelling SLOD the whole time, they're like, fuck's sake, backspace. Like, so they'll take the keystrokes and go, like, okay, on the next one we might not put the keys so close together. It's not stupid bullshit. But in order to get that type of information, which is commodified and marketed, to be able to make a better product in the future, the sub benefit of it is that you've allowed them to fucking monitor all your keystrokes, which includes, like, all the fucking emails you write, all the things you type in, whatever you're typing into fucking fat sluts with wet pussies or whatever into Pornhub, right? Like, they're able to see all of that shit in these keystrokes, right? Now, the biggest amount of money that's being made by Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok from China. Like, they fucking tried to ban TikTok in the US because they're like, there's kids on that are making videos and giving out information, and they're giving out fucking analytics and all, and it's being sent to another country to be processed. I'm like, yeah, that's the fucking crack. Tough shit. Just because it's not an American company, you're fucking raging you didn't come up with it first, right? So all of these companies, they're not making money, man. They're not making money on, like, ads. They're not making money on you, like, clicking like on something. They're making money on gathering information and making a whole profile around your buying habits all over the internet. So if you're on Instagram on your phone and you're, like, looking up stuff on Amazon, and then you go look up stuff on Safari, you go into Safari, like, to check out a review, you're going into YouTube to check out somebody's like, Instagram is following you all around those places. And it's sending all that information to Facebook headquarters, who are selling that off to fucking marketers and advertisers to go, okay, this lad, he was showing this ad, which set him off on a whole, research bent when he's looking up all these other different types of keyboard. I don't know, so I'm just looking at a keyboard now, so keyboard's on the brain. But, like, he went through, like, 5 different brands. He went through all of this stuff, and he landed on this one. So the most efficacy from your advertising would be if you were to advertise this way at this time for this lad, and they send that to Logitech, and Logitech is like, right, bang, we'll buy that, and then they sell way more keyboard. They don't give a fuck about you doing TikTok dances and having bouncy titties and doing all that fucking, oh no, like, all this fucking shit. They don't care.
Because I remember
how you live your life through your mobile phone or your computer, and they're selling your preferences, your personality, your choices.
Yeah, because there's a society against AI cars.
Yeah.
For self-drive cars, and the reason being is not for progress or whatever, but the idea being is that you should always be in control of your car and not have the car choose. Because the car chooses, and all of a sudden the car can be fucking just like the keyboard fucking phenomenon.
Yeah.
The car might go, sorry, Dave, we're not taking that way home today. And by the way, we're gonna slow down passing the McDonald's sign as well, because McDonald's have paid to have you slow down by maybe 5 miles an hour, because you'll get a longer look at the old sign there.
Yeah.
Things like that. It was like, that's creepy.
I'll take that, Tom, and I'll give you an extra level of creepiness. So if you have all these automaton cars and you have two Teslas, and there's two Teslas and they're going along the motorway, right? And there's an unavoidable accident about to happen. Something's going to collide. One is going to collide with the other, right? And in one Tesla is Tom on his own. One man driving the Tesla, and it's driving on his own. It's automatically driving. And in the other car, the Tesla has fucking seat sensors. So it knows that there's someone in the driver's seat, someone in the passenger seat, and two people who are maybe not so heavy, so there must be children in the back seat. And both of those Teslas are connected to the same fucking mainframe, the same server. And they're sending information the whole time going up and down. So both of these Teslas have to make a decision. Are we going to... Is the Tesla with one man in it going to turn in front of the truck that's going to take out four people? We have one life, but we save four. Like those type of fucking moral. That's like a philosophical thing. That the train tracks. You have one lad and you have four people. Like that AI is going to have to start making those types of decisions. So like you could be in the car, and if you were driving on your own, you'd be able to slam the brakes, or you'd be like, "Oh fuck it, I'm going to take it into the siding, or I'm going to drive it into the ditch." But this car is like, "I'm sorry, Tom. There's four people in the other car. We're going to have to drive out in front of this truck and take the major impact. Good luck. I hope you have your fucking insurance paid off." And then it tries to save the other four people by driving your automatic car in front of the truck that's going. Do you know what I mean? That's the shit that's going to be happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, program in that morality into the fucking automatic stuff, like.
Yeah, I don't think that matters a shit. But I need to ask, because I need the definition of. What is a shadow army? I'm hearing this anytime. Like, is it a thing, or am I just talking fucking hoo-hoo now?
It depends on what you mean by shadow army. Like, there's the white hats, the white helmets. That they're out doing stuff for the UN. These lads are like, what would you call it? False flag merchants. They were in Syria. You can see videos of them like throwing fucking Odlum's flour on some young child and putting a few rocks on his leg, and then putting a bit of fucking Halloween makeup, and then making a video and going, "Oh no, Assad has fucking bombed his own people with white phosphorus." Like, that's part of the CIA plot. Do you know? That's part of a letter agency shadow. Deep state organization that's trying to create propaganda to promote the citizens of certain countries to act in a certain way. Like, this shit has gone international, and the CIA have been doing shadow governmental what would you call it, military operations in other countries for years and years. South America, like we're talking about Noriega, you're talking about Chavez, you're talking about Bolivia, Colombia, that shit. That's all CIA, man. The CIA were fucking funneling guns for Iran for lads that were being South American lads being trained as rebels to fight against the country. Proxy war shit. They were flying guns down to South America, and then sure, of course, they couldn't like, what's the point in flying back an empty plane? So they plane with cocaine, and they brought cocaine back into America. CIA planes brought cocaine back into America, which was pulled into the black community in California, and it's turned into crack, and it made them all fucking shoot each other or die or incarcerated tens of thousands of black lads because they were all into this fucking crack cocaine. But that was the CIA that was providing for, and that's like documented on the record. Like, we're going to be doing an episode about Barry Seal and the CIA.
Oh, Barry Seal, yeah.
Freeway Ricky Ross. Like, that shit is happening all the time. Look what we're doing in fucking Afghanistan. Like, they started, 9/11 wasn't about oil, really. A little bit about oil. But mostly it was about getting into Afghanistan and having a perpetual war, which is still going on now. Like, there's sons of the men who went to the war first that are now going to the war. Like, sons of those men who went.
And what's the overall outcome? Is that they want to just be like selling military fucking wires into it, like Tony Stark's father?
No,
stuff kind of,
In Afghanistan is the biggest heroin producing country in the world now.
Oh, of course, yeah, Jesus.
They're fucking hopping the poppies out of it. Poppy hopping. Fucking lashing it out, making a fortune. And what happens is they sell all these drugs, they sell all these services, right? They make a bunch of cash money, And it's all for black ops. So they have to pay lads stuff, but they don't want it to be on the books. So people are doing some shit. They start fucking making money off millions of dollars off drugs. And then they keep it all off the books and they pay lads behind the scenes to go like, here, how much will it cost for you to go in and assassinate that cunt? They're like 300,000. All right, we made that in 5 days selling heroin. There you go, it's 300,000.
And what ultimately, who's benefiting at the end of it? Like, if the CIA as a group, like, is there a board of directors who are all going, lads, we're after making a fucking killing this year?
Well, this is the Majestic 12. Like, what's above that? What's above Majestic 12? This is the great question I ask all the time. Like, who wins? Who's the winner here? If Joe Biden gets in, who's going to benefit? And you invariably have to follow the money. Like, China are going to get a nice chunk of change and a nice bit of business is going to be done. All of the things that Trump undid, like the TPP and all of this kind of stuff, it's basically like, for want of a better term, it's a new world order. They want a one world government. They want total control. They want, and having like a global pandemic is a really nice kind of stick to bait people with, to be able to have control over every single country. Like the WHO, the WHO are a non-military organization that has the most power of any group in the whole world right now. Like what they say dictates national and international policies in 195 countries. Do you know? Like, whoever runs the WHO runs the world right now. And Bill Gates has a massive chunk of change invested in the WHO, but then he also has a chunk of change invested into the and the companies that are creating the vaccine. His wealth has doubled in the last 9 months, personally. And he's out there banging on about, like, let's fucking get this shit done. Come on, the whole world needs to get inoculated with this shit. And if it's just about money, I mean, that's a real low blow. Like, that's real lowest common denominator shit if it's just a greedy count about money. I don't think it is. I think it's about control. Some people are saying this RNA vaccine is going to be, get ready if you get your podcast pulled off, by the way. The RNA vaccine is going to come in and it's going to affect the cells of placentas being created in pregnant women, so that people are just going to be having miscarriages all over the place because the RNA parts of the vaccine are fucked up. And like there's so much stuff linked to this, like oligarchical global control, and Trump was a real disruptor of that. But with Kamala and Joe in place, all the business interests, all the political interests, all the secret behind the scenes shit. Like, think about how many people Trump fired from the FBI, including from the top brass all the way down. Because he's like, rotten apple, you're gone. And then there was lads that came out, like General Michael Flynn, who came out and said, like, I'm a whistleblower, I'm talking about all of this shit. And he was supposed to be kept quiet. And who was the man that outed Michael Flynn and ended up having be arrested, put up for perjury, put up for all this fucking shit? Joe Biden accidentally slipped his name out. And now General Flynn and his lawyer Sidney Powell are holding hands with Rudy Giuliani at all of these election fraud press conferences and going like, we have the information, we knew this shit was coming, it couldn't not come. There's a whole group, there's a whole faction that are pushing back against this oligarchical global control. Because what anybody wants is control, man. Money for some people is infinite. Like, some people have like, what do you do if you have infinite? You can't. Some people for no amount of money will do what you want them to do. So how do you get over those people to get them to do that shit? Some people are tick. Some people are tick, and you can carrot and stick them motherfuckers, or you can be like, come here, if you do this, I'll give you this. Yeah, okay. And they'll just do it. But some people won't. So how do you get those people to do what you want to do? You have to get something on them. You have to find a way to be able to push their buttons. First of all, you have to find out what their buttons are and then push them. So it's like the whole system is being to gather as much information on people to be able to create a bespoke set of propaganda, to be able to manipulate people, to be able to control people at a personal level to do whatever they want to do. And we saw a little slice of it with the likes of Cambridge Analytica in 2016. Like, and think about how far shit has come in 4 years. Like, Cambridge Analytica now is like Fisher Price fucking Sticklebricks shit.
Stop.
Now the shit they have is phenomenal.
scary, I would imagine. If it's
the thing I ask all the time on the podcast, Tom, like where are we going and why? Who's the enemy? What's going on?
yeah.
What's the fucking point of all this? Like, what are we fighting against? Why are we not
For a
all
brief,
trying to get everyone fed and housed and have so the children are
it's
getting raped
bizarre.
and that fucking, you know, there's no people aren't being cruel to each other. There's nobody fucking, you know, bombing out kids, fucking orphanages and shit.
But do you know what we need? We need the fucking aliens to come down out of it. That's what we fucking need.
Well, this is the next step. Project Bluebeam, it's called, where they'll come down and there's supposed to be like a holographic. We're doing an episode on this as well this season. I was trying
Daddy's going to come down and slap all our arses. That's easy.
I wanted to get all of these episodes done before Christmas because I wanted to make sure that I had them all done before the actual stuff starts happening.
Fuck it.
I know. It's raging.
It's here. It is marked here as per the fucking 11th of...
Yeah. Well, chalk it down.
I mean, we're recording on the 7th, but as per the fucking 11th, in case it fucking happens on the 10th.
Project Bluebeam is on the books as a fake alien invasion.
I don't know if there was a Project Bluebeam myself back in the day when I was single. Like, you know what I mean? I'm sorry. We went a good 45 minutes without mentioning fucking any genitalia, so I had to
that's why they get the 7 hours. You have to slip in the dick joke somewhere. Project Bluebeam is the holographic alien invasion. The fake alien invasion is going to unite people to coalesce under like a one world government. Because like when you have another world invading your world, you're going to have to go. Okay,
was this what Ronald Reagan was on about back in the day?
This is part of it. Ronald Reagan's talking about Star Wars, putting satellites up that were able to have like weaponized capabilities to shoot back against like, you know, the likes of an asteroid or some Armageddon fucking Bruce Willis type shit. That's what he was talking about. But we did an episode on Stephen Greer and the Disclosure Project. This lad's coming out saying there are actually aliens. The US government have had contact with aliens. It's all real. And if we start shooting at them, they're going to fucking destroy us all. Like, it's so deep. But the Project Bluebeam thing, to be specific, is a fake alien invasion perpetrated by the American or the Chinese government, where they're able to broadcast images of like Independence Day, like intergalactic war cruisers that are going to come down and be like, you must obey Lord Zod or whatever. And you're like, oh my God, who's going to save us? And then the American government is fucking, you know, sidle in like Clint Eastwood and go, well, if you give me all your freedoms, I'll give you security. Like this. And you're like, what do you mean by freedoms? Well, you're going to have to stay inside your house all the time. You're not going to be able to come outside. You're not going to be able to go to the bars, restaurants. You're not going to be able to see your kids or your grandkids. You're not going to be able to see your grandma. Can't go to the cinema. When you can't drive your car, you got to stay inside at all times. Because if you go outside, those aliens, they're just going to laser you. Okay, what we do when we're inside? Have you heard of Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu? This alien invasion sponsored by HBO Max. This shit is for real. Like it's so 2020, so on brand for 2020 that like just before New Year's Eve, like a big Independence Day style fucking thing, and Will Smith is like, ha ha, like fucking get me, you know, Jeff Goldblum is like, I mean, what are we gonna do? Washington D.C. It's gonna be decimated. Like it's gonna fucking happen very soon. They're showing these fucking monoliths. Do you see these monoliths like, that are going on?
Stop. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
The welding is like, so poor when you get up close to them with all the rivets and all. But like,
I actually
people are buying into it.
I follow. This will tell you where our heads are at, right? I follow a certain amount of hashtags on, and a lot of them are barbecue based. But I follow one particular one. It's called weld porn, right?
What's it called? I missed the thing it cut out there.
It's hashtag weld porn.
Weld porn.
So it's just the best fucking welding throughout fucking the world. Like, and somebody, like a few lads are putting up pictures going, "Would you fuck off?" You know,
the welds on those monoliths are very poor. There's one. Do you know the way you have to do the kind of the shine and it comes
back over it. Yeah,
you go back over it. So the whole thing is covered with these little circles from the angle grinder or whatever. I guess there's a polisher or whatever. I don't know tools. You know, it's not my remit. But it looks dog shit. But they have them like on a mountain in California. They're in Colombia. There's one in Russia. There's one in Utah. People are like, yeah, the aliens are coming. The aliens are coming. Like, they're fucking primed for this shit to happen. And in some people's minds, I would imagine, an alien invasion is probably the only thing that can get us out of this shit show. It's just like, come down and press the button and reset us all, please. Like, how many people would volunteer to be, quote unquote, taken up in a tractor beam by the aliens, like in Cocoon? But the rules are, if you go, you can never ever come back. And they're like, yeah, that's what's going to happen. Everyone get into the tractor beam.
Listen, there's lads everywhere, like Richard Dreyfuss making fucking mountains, Galtymore out of a heap of spuds, just in the middle of
making the sugar loaf out of sugar loaf.
Yeah.
And they all get into the tractor beam, and the big light turns on, and then they all disappear, and we all think, oh yeah, they're gone up now in the teleportation thing, when really it was just a big massive halogen lamp, and it just burnt them all to cinders, and we never know. And it's a great way to control the population of the planet, which is, I think, is high on the agenda for the New World Order. It's like,
there's too many people.
Too many people. We've got to stop these motherfuckers having sex and having babies. Let's give them a vaccine to sterilize them. Let's have an alien invasion that's going to promise them a new planet and fucking vaporize them. Let's get them all to kill each other in wars. Let's, too many people, I think, is a big problem for the elite. I think,
because you had amazingly and ironic and coincidental and timely, one of your most recent podcast episodes out was the what was it called again? My fucking brain is frazzled. It was basically about Agenda 21, was it?
Yes, Agenda 21.
Yeah. And
there's a new one, Agenda 2030 is a whole new thing as well. The same fucking plan, bro.
About him cleaning fucking house, like. But so do you think Stephen Greer is talking out his pipe? Because
I do.
Steve-O reckons they're definitely there, these boys, and
the way Stephen Greer set it up, he had a load of witnesses from military, Air Force, Secret Service, CIA, FBI, all the people that would know. He had over 400 witnesses, and he got them all into a press conference, and they all said, like, I'll testify in front of Congress and all this kind of stuff, and we'll have to start a program to get the public to understand and know and make it public that there is actual alien contact and all this stuff. You'll never guess when that first press conference was.
Go on.
It was late August 2001, and less than 2 weeks later, we had
9/11.
So it was totally obfuscated from view. Like, nobody talked about that for years. I remember I found a Disclosure Project thing in like 2002 maybe, and I watched the whole video, and there's like 10 experts that get up and talk and they give their testimony and say we have 400 more, and there's like addendums and all these super out lads that were on these fucking non-disclosure agreements for 35 years, and they ran out and they're in their 70s going like, I remember they made me kill one of them in the blood. The blood smelled like a fistful of pennies. Like this kind of shit. Like,
yeah.
And but like, these were men who had their whole careers to throw away, and why would they lie? And it was very weird. But I think Stephen Greer has now commodified it into people's just fascination with aliens. Like, I'd love to get him on an interview. They made another one called Serious Disclosure, and they found this little, the Atacama body. It looks like a little fucking weird hot dog alien, tiny alien thing. You know, in Men in Black, when the fella they touch your man's ear in the morgue, and there's like a little thing, his face comes off and goes, and there's a little lad in the seat going, "Oh no, you opened the door." It looked like that little thing, and it was turned out to be fake and all this shit. So he's given fucking tours where he gets you to come down and do all the deep breathing.
That was what it was, a pile of bollocks. His second one was a pile of bollocks, because he's sitting there and he gets all teary-eyed every so often, which is a pure yank move if ever I saw it. Like, they fucking, as my mother would say, their bladder is very close to their eyes. They're fear. Like, when a yank is in front of a fucking camera, by Jesus, they can turn on the fucking waterworks. And every second scene, he's welling up, like, and you're going, well, I'm buying what you're selling in the moment there, Steve. But he's out fucking, they were seeming to me more like ayahuasca trips out into the fucking desert.
Well, he doesn't every
fucker had a bead or a fucking dreadlock. And they were all, one fella was telling a story how he was so in tune with aliens. I was looking out the back of his balcony this one day, hanging out the washing. And basically, he was calling them down. And the next thing, 3 lights came down out of the sky. And he said, go on, turn left for me there, will you? And that was at the point where I was like, for fuck's sake.
But that's
Anyway,
what he does. He charges $2,500 for like 2 days of that. The first day he trains you, the second day he takes you out, and you look up at the sky. But you're not allowed to have any drugs. You're not allowed to do any hallucinogenics or smoke anything or anything. Because he says like you're not allowed to have any of that because you might blame the drugs on what you saw. You need to be sober.
Okay, right.
And it's basically just like a psychic connection with these aliens that are like fifth dimensional fucking beings or whatever. And you see some lights in the sky. And I'd say, to be honest, if you seen him or you didn't see him, for $2,500, you'd say you fucking saw them, or you'd feel like an awful thick cunt.
This is the thing, like when you spend 80 quid on a Michael McIntyre ticket, people come away going delighted.
Yeah, he was brilliant.
He was brilliant. He was 80 fucking quid.
That's the difference, Tom. If you want to be like a top flight comedian, you just have to charge like so much money that people would be ashamed to say you were bad.
1,200 quid a ticket.
Yeah,
Fuck it. Go on. I only need 3 people in. Fuck it.
You'll drive your car to the concert and then you have to get the bus home. And everyone leaves their cars and the keys. That's how much you have to pay to get in.
I might fucking need one of their cars because the wiper will be gone. Right.
Get the bandages out. But yeah, so for the alien thing, I definitely think like it's. I mean, there is aliens. I'm 100% sure that there is aliens.
What form are we talking?
Interdimensional. You're talking.
Okay. Yeah, that makes more sense to me rather than what old Davey Icke going on about. It seemed to be a big work what Dave was going on about the lizard. It seemed a big job what they were doing to hide themselves, if they are hiding themselves.
The reptilians, like the history of the world is hidden from us, Tom. Right? And I've done this.
It's been lost a bunch of times, hasn't it?
A whole load of times, man. Like Atlantis is like the remnants of the memory of something from the last iteration of humankind or whatever. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about. I won't take long because we're going into those conspiracy guys' lengths on the Buckshot show.
Yeah.
But like ancient aliens and ancient civilizations and what happened before and why it stopped is one of the things that has itched my brain since I started doing drugs in my mid-teens. Like, where did all the shit go from the people before? Because if this is only 200 years old, or this is only 800 years old, or those pyramids are 4,000 years old, but the Sphinx is 1,000 years old, like, who made that shit and why? What's going on?
Yeah.
Who, you know what I mean? There's even talk like that the pyramids weren't built by the Egyptians, that they were found. So they're even older again. Like this kind of shit, right? And I'm thinking, if aliens came and populated the planet and they went, oh no, they're all riding each other. Okay, push the button, and it's just like, you know, like a burn room in fucking Species. You know that movie Species? And
Yeah.
The thing gets out and it's like, burn him! Like, and you have to press the button.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they've done that shit. You know, they're just like, okay, tip him off there. We'll send the yolk into the sun, and the sunspot will just fucking, or switch off the atmosphere there, and everything just goes and just gets pulled off the planet, right? And I think that like the ancient aliens, the way everything is done, if we don't understand history, we are fucked. If we don't understand, even in our own short history, the last 70 years, you can see these skills, practices, techniques and methods of control of a country first, and then an ideology, then like a culture, and then a globe. Like it's growing and growing and growing. And with the advent of like stuff like the internet, a message now can come from one person and go to absolutely everybody if they should so wish. Like, it's a natural evolution of control. Like Hitler used to give out free radios, and they used to pump music on the radio so people that haven't turned on all the time, just in case he wanted to tell everybody something. But they had to have something to keep them switched on. So they'd put music on, and they get music for free. They got the radio for free, they got the music for free. But the propaganda was the thing that cost them. Do you know?
Yeah.
So like that's what we're at now. We're at peak society. We're peak culture. And how many times have we got here? How many times have we been on the precipice of destruction? We've seen like the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire, all the ancient Chinese dynasties, and you know the Middle East, going from like, you know, towers of Babel to fucking towers of rubble. Like what massive depth of history that Africa has, you know, kings and lords to fucking, you know, like slaves and murderers in some places. It's just like, where have we come from and where we're heading to? If you understand where we've come from, it's a lot easier to understand what's happening and why. Control. Well,
we can measure it.
Yeah, you can see it, man. It happens. It repeats. Like control is a human foible. Do you know? You'd like people to do what you want. You'd like people to do what they're told, but you can't make them. And that's why like free will and God's gift to humanity is free will in all the different religions, all the different books all the different holy books. Free will is the thing that God gifted us, so that we can't be made to do something by somebody else. And
it'll bust. And what you're saying is it'll bust through at some stage, regardless. It'll bend or break, as they would say.
That's it. And we're bent now and close to breaking. And I think there's stuff like, you know, this election thing, because we started off talking about that. Like, if Trump does fuck up that shit, like, America be lit on fire. There's lads there with matches and hay, ready to go, bricks and fucking bombs,
ready
to rock, ready to rock. If Trump does it, ready to rock. And if Joe gets in, there's a whole other side of lads, and they're all fucking armed. Now, I don't know if they'll do it, and I don't think they will, but there's the motivation is there to take back your country, to take back the stolen election, to take, you know, there's a narrative there that has fucking binary opposition, civil war built into the narrative.
Tis no lenture since the the brothers in Virginia and whatnot going after each other, like, you know,
200 years, it's not that long ago. I mean, you know,
this is the thing, So I mean, who fucking knows? I think Project Bluebeam. Fuck it. You'd nearly work, like, because there's times where we are, well, certainly where I am, I'm in the countryside of Ireland. There's sometimes when you're looking on, and I'm not one who invests an awful lot in things. Like, I know I have a podcast and stuff I could physically do without. Like, especially during early doors of fucking lockdown, I had just closed fucking laptop, closed phone, and I went and found some shit to cut with a fucking axe. You know what I mean? Like, there was like Operation fucking Tommy fucking introvert fucking kicked in, because it's like, because I start winding myself up and going crazy, and I think at least I had that safety mechanism. But one quick, like, touched on it ever so slightly there about how our history has changed and all the rest of it, but how we've been stunted too, because you did a project or an episode on Tesla, and some of the most phenomenal things when you start looking into it, like, we should be fucking yonks ahead. Like, we are dragging our hole around the place with copper wire that should have never come around the fucking place.
Yeah, man.
You know, this is one of the most mind-bending things. Like, electricians, like, and I remember I spoke to my grandfather about this, who's still rocking it, like, and he sold electrical equipment. There was no such thing really as electricians, but he had a car garage, and he was a mechanical engineer, so he was nearly like a wizard. Do you know what I mean? But literally, there was when they rolled out the rural scheme for electricity. I remember, but I heard about the mayor of Boston at the time was from our local area, or his local area, or originally his family were, and he set back a wind turbine to generate power, and he put it up for them and everything. But he was going, this is fucking great. Why is the whole place run on fucking wind? Like he was looking at that going, well, there has to be a faster way of getting this, rather than now we're going to lay fucking cables every fucking place. And this isn't an old lad in the 50s/40s or start 60s going, this seems fucking backward.
It's so easy. Why isn't everyone doing this?
Yeah, but like, as you pointed out, the likes of fellas stuck their head above the parapet like Tesla, the poor old devil, and coining your phrase, he got an awful dose, that man. Got an awful dose.
He got robbed by Thomas Edison, basically, who was like the people we're talking about. He was the oligarch. He was the commodification billionaire, millionaire maker. He was hiring in junior genius. He was the first like intern farmer, hiring in junior genius, and then paying them to develop the stuff, and then taking it and putting his name on it and making all the money from it forever and ever, amen. And all his kids and all the people who owned shares in the company. It's just like wealth creation and wealth maintenance. Like, we can't let this wealth go away, because then we're not wealthy. And there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. Like, being wealthy is like, don't about money. It's not about money. Rich is like, how much money do I have? But wealth is like, I have power, I have control. Like, money doesn't you're not even counting your money, do you know?
And we don't have those people in Ireland. We
We've one cunt that might make the list, and he's asked to go to the Bilderberg, and he pops on down, and he's all like, well, how we going, lads? Any Hennessy going?
He's purely there for the good crack.
Just
because an Irish fellow will always be invented. But he's like,
you can't even say his name because you get a fucking letter. That's the
Because
thing.
we'll be shut down if we say his fucking name.
Yeah.
I accidentally mentioned his name on Other Gordon's. I call him Other Gordon.
Yeah.
His radio show one day, and it was a podcast. Like, it was
people
a
are doing this
pre-record.
in the room, like.
And it was a killer line. It was
Yeah.
about the fucking, what was the thing with Matthew McConaughey, that amazing fucking show, True Detective. I was saying how this famous person, if it went to a certain place and turns out he was actually a satanic fucking ruler, and he just went, and he was in stitches. He went, thank God that's a pre-record, Tom, because I am cutting out the last minute and a half of what you just said.
Of course, you have to.
Because he owns the radio station. It will be redacted. Like, it's simple as that.
But that's the thing, if you own it, like all of these systems were put in place not long ago, bro. Like 1890 to 1925. Everything that is wrong with the world now was created and incepted then. Like
Jesus.
The Federal Reserve, the IRS, the electricity, you're talking about like the military industrial complex with World War I happening, the pharmaceutical industry, oil, and the whole petrochemical industry. Like all of these things were made by a handful of men, the men who made America. There's a documentary on it, 12 dudes, and not in any, kind of gematria like numbers. There's 12 lads who they picked for the set of documentaries, The Men Who Made America it's called. And I guess the likes of JP Morgan, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Ford, Walt Disney, like this shit was planned. And they sit around and they smoke cigars and drink brandy and go, how can we control everybody to do the thing that we want to do? Because we have an idea, and it's not for any evil reason, I think, which is why I have some semblance of empathy. I don't think it's for any real evil reason. I think what they're doing, they really, really, really believe that it's the right thing to do for the world. And
they couldn't let it off. They said, go to shit, lads.
Exactly. It's the same for the Joe Biden.
The hens out of the hen house. They'd be fucking dead in a day.
Exactly. They'll never be able to take care of themselves. It's the same for the Joe Bidens and the Kamala Harrises and the Ocasio-Cortezes and the Andrew Yangs and the Bernie Sanderses. Really, when you say that to somebody, what you're saying is, I don't trust that you're fucking smart enough to mind yourself. So I'm going to make the decisions about how the planet works and how everything that you touch pans out. I want to be able to make sure, like an overzealous parent, like some kind of mad control freak, fucking, like a narcissistic government that believes that they are all knowing and everything that you say. They're fucking gaslighting a whole culture, gaslighting a whole population. If anyone has ever been in any kind of an abusive relationship, you'll understand the fucking patterns in this thing where people are being told, you're not good enough to run your own life. You can't do it. Yeah. And there's a lot of people pushing back going, I actually can, and I want to at least try. I want to at least have a go. And this is like a fucking a teenage rebellion, It just so happens to be in the shape of MAGA and Donald Trump. But like, what else would you expect from a rebellious 13-year-old? But jeers, lewd behavior, grabbing her by the pussy, fucking, that nasty woman, all the fucking shit
that
that
your hairstyle either yet.
Exactly, hasn't figured it out. Like, we can't. Neither of the two of us can talk about that. But I'm saying,
Jesus.
Like, you get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. And right now, America deserves a petulant 13-year-old who's going to rebel against a system that doesn't believe that the people of America are smart enough. They called them a basket of deplorables, Tom. They said that you're fucking thick, hillbilly, hick cunts all across the Midwest, all the southern states, everywhere except for New York and California, which are the epitome of culture and class and, the upper echelons of society. Everyone else in America is a thick, toothless, banjo-playing, fucking sister fucking moron. And you can't control yourself, and you haven't got... Why would you make decisions for yourself? Why would we let you? Because you're going to make the wrong decision because you're a fucking retard. Yeah. That's what they're saying to everybody. And everybody's now going, no, we're not. You guys have made all those decisions for the last 150 years, and we're at the place that we're at now. Because I think they really want these oligarchs, these JP Morgans and all, they really wanted the system that works really easily.
Yeah.
and doesn't have many problems, and then it can just like produce
Like a company.
and make money and not have any kind of faffing around. But the faffing around that's the fucking best part of life, man.
Yeah.
The faffing is the fucking crack. Like, that's being able to just go, I'm not going to go to school to be a 9-to-5er until I'm 18 to go and learn to be a 9-to-5er. I'm not going to industrialize my life in order to be like a meat bag of production. I'm going to learn how to play the piano, and I'm going to travel around the whole world busking for my whole life and having a bit of crack, playing random pianos and making videos about it and putting it on the internet. There's a lad that does that. That's his whole life. And he goes to all of these different train stations and plays these pianos and all of these train stations all over the world. Goes into hotels and plays the piano, and people are like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" And the video, that's his life. He chose to do that.
Oh, I know the fella. He has fucking gazillions of fucking views. But he is. Yeah, he is fucking class. I mean, yeah, I chap on the podcast one time, and he was just. Now, I do tend to pick people that I find interesting, but Dan Elliott, his name, is a singer, young chap, maybe 24, 25, fucking brilliant singer. And I really told me just one brief story of how I said, "Why singing? Why?" I went, "Fucking, why fucking? What the fuck not?" Like, I'm able to pick up. He's able to pick up a few gigs, right? And he had about 4 solid gigs around town. 4 nights of the week, covered it. 24-year-old's fucking wages doesn't need a lot, like, you know. And he said this one time, it was proven to him he was doing the right thing when he was playing in the Keys. He did a 2-hour gig in the Keys in Temple Bar.
Yeah.
And a couple came up to him from New Zealand. They said, "We're after getting engaged. You're fucking amazing. I'd love you to play at our wedding." He went, "Oh yeah, not a bother. Anyway, whatever, Wonderwall." And they left a fucking card with it. Oh no, they took his fucking card. Well, lo and behold, following day, email comes in. Can you make it to fucking Christchurch or wherever they were, or Auckland? Here's your plane ticket, the whole fucking lot. Flew him down first class.
Get the fuck.
And got in there 4 days earlier, played a couple of rounds of golf, saw us with the family, played at the wedding, made a few quid, and then decided, there's my guitar on my back. Why the fuck would I head home this minute? He's driving now with neither chick nor child at home. And he toddled around New Zealand he doesn't even fully know how long he fucking stayed around New Zealand. Just going into a bar and going, "Here, guitar there. What you reckon? A couple of pints in the dinner?" Jesus, I will. And maybe $50. Lovely job. I'll play away. And he did that. And you're going, why wouldn't you?
But what more do you need? Like, when you were in school, do you feel that you were, what would you say, harangued into the life that you had up until about, say, 24? I met you, I think, when you were like 24 or 25, and you were like, the wheels are off this fucking thing now, let's just see what happens. But up until then,
but the wheels have been shot off it. You know
shot
what I
off
mean?
it. That's 100%.
They had been shot off it. I didn't go, I'm going to pull in and get some new wheels. No. What the fuck? I hit a road spikes and they fucking burst everything under the fucking thing. Now I was clipping about 170 miles an hour for a few years at that stage. You know what I mean? So, they were the wires were coming out through them already. So,
do you think school and that whole like industrialization, like going into your careers thing, and they're like, right, well, what would you be good at making or doing?
Oh, sure. Listen,
how can we turn you into a productive member of society? Like, do you feel that you were harangued?
They handed us around a fucking thing. I mean, it's Middle Ireland, you know, where we are. It's Middle fucking Ireland. They're going, well, what the fuck are you going to do? You're going to go. You can go up the road and work in a factory if you want, or you can get yourself to college. And both myself and my brother were sent to fucking. You're more or less harangued, because before you know it, all your mates are doing construction. Yeah. All the girls are doing fucking pharmaceuticals. You know what I mean? That's the way it was.
The money was in it at the time, so you were like, well, this is big now. Let's study to do this now, without ever any kind of like, maybe this might stop someday, or will it be this good forever? Like,
no. Just go in there to see that other building that looks like this building. Go in there, stay there for a while, and when you come out, fucking build more of these fucking things here. And there'll be loads of money for you, because money's a great thing. You're like, what? Yeah, it's a great thing, and you just don't hear any different. And sure, our parents were ignorant of the thing, because they're going, well, sure, you have to do with it. Yeah. Do you know?
But now, you're children when you're being told this, so you don't fucking know any different. No, you can't with any confidence say to, like, I don't know, from 1900, how many generations in Ireland? Maybe 8? You can't say to 8 generations back, this is not I'm going to do something different. I'm going to buck the trend. Like, I'm a trend booker. At 16, 15, you can't, like, how many people are strong enough to go like, nah, man, I'm not doing this shit. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
so very difficult to fucking buck that trend. And that's what people are counting
especially
on.
here too, because here with the CAO form, like I remember the cousins telling me, like when they went to college for the first year, you're fluting around a bit, like, and you kind of go, which I thought was a great, it's a great idea.
Trying to get your dick sucked and finding out how much you can drink before you die from it. That's the whole first year of college. Like,
you have to have it picked by fucking 16, 17.
Yeah,
what your plans are.
Yeah.
And sure, who the fuck knows? No, it worked out all right in the that I was in college, and I'm glad I got some life experience and all the rest of it. But I don't know, would I've been better off fucking. There was never an opportunity to play any music. Anyway, it was not a very cultural fucking place. Yeah. You know, I know you come from a music background, but that was.
But dude, I pushed so hard against everything in my life to be able to do that. I absolutely.
How fucking genetic or what's in you?
I just abdicated from society, man. I just jettisoned everything. I was just like, I'm out. Put parachute. I'm not doing that shit. If I'm going to college, I'm going to go to a place where I can buy drugs easily. I was the lad who was asking for the fucking key of the school off the principal on a Friday morning, because on the Saturday morning we were getting in to go in to do band practice in the music room, and the principal of the school gave me the fucking key of the school and the alarm code, and I was in bringing in fucking amps and two lads from another school. Come on, we go in, and we had the whole place to our fucking cells, run around the halls, like it was deadly. But like nobody else would think to ask to do it. And I asked, and he was so surprised. He was like, yeah, okay, that's weird, but yeah, there you go. Do you know, like, I was organising gigs in Wexford Town in pubs at 15, going in without a hair on my balls or my chin, and walking up to a grown publican who's weathered in the business for years in a pub that's reasonably quiet and not very well, you know, patronised. And going up and going, hello, mister, would you be able to go and play my songs and sing my songs in your pub on the Friday? And he's like, what age are you? I'm old enough. All right, go on then. I keep all the money off the bar, and how much you charge on the door? £3, £4. Okay, all right. £4. No more than that. Okay. And I just go in, and I rang up all my mates. And I have a guitar, and I do the MC, and I sing a song, just warm everybody up. How are you doing? Who's here? Who's it? All the lads in the Peters, give us a shout. All the lads in the CBS, give us a shout. Bridgetown, give us Prez, give me the Loretto. Come on, give us a shout. Way. All right, everybody, the next band, they're coming in here from fucking Kilmuckridge, and they're going to play a song now. And, you know, I'm doing that shit. And then the children drinking, and children playing music. About 150 people in that room, fucking enjoying the fucking world we had created. There was 150 of us in a small room in Wexford, and it was the whole world, Tom.
Yeah, there are always green shoots of things that sometimes you will find your way out of. No, I was just thinking, as you said, about a rebellious fucking act. We were never allowed to have rugby in the school because it was a fucking GA, and it was considered a Protestant sport.
Dirty foreign.
Yeah, and your man just wouldn't fucking have it. And we weren't posh lads. Like, I know people listen to this and go, it's only posh. No, where rugby was played with us was... So you could became big in Limerick and Tipperary because occupying forces back when, you know, British rule and what in the late parts of the 1800s and early parts of the 1900s, there was occupying forces. And the only way to get a cut off these fuckers and beat the living shit out of them was to actually play a physical sport that they had. And that was rugby.
Are you talking about like in those movies when the prisoners get to play the guards?
Yeah, literally. And that's how rugby became so big in Limerick. I mean, Limerick is not known for its fucking wealth or its grandeur, but it is the home of fucking rugby. And I remember the principal that took over in sixth year. I canvassed him basically. I says, you fucking have to let us have this. He went, well, it's entirely up to you to organise. And I remember it made men of us, because the whole school got on board because they were on for whatever.
Yeah.
And we went on and we won the provincial fucking final and everything. I remember my final speech.
Remember the Titans or some shit.
It was that's the fast story. We managed to bring in a guy that was playing for Ireland at the time to actually coach us. It would beat the shit out of everybody because we had a bunch of good guys going. But I remember that there were 700 students at our school. And they were all at it that day. And I remember the final bit of my speech, I went, and by the way, we've tomorrow off. And I remember walking off with the trophy. And even the principal went, what? And that was it. Everybody went fucking bananas.
Where's your teen Disney movie? Where's that fucking movie?
Yeah, There's been too much cursing in our one to actually make it fucking close. That's the only problem.
But man, there was people doing that shit all over the country, and it's never been taught. Like, you know, Ireland Ireland is a country of adopted morals, culture, and adopted media. We create our own stuff, but I mean, it's commodified.
We're still very new. We're still very new,
but like
new,
still, I think it's like, do you know that girl that sings at the Fesh, and she's a great singer, but she's just not confident enough to do it. Like,
if you look how
she's not going to push.
If you
hard.
look where we are geographically, you know, do you ever see people? You know, when a couple of you walking with their young little kid down the beach, and they've got either hand, and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, whee, and they lift. Well, if you look geographically, still to this day, we're holding on to Nana, our mammy next door, and our long arm is going across the sea to Daddy, and we're being swung between the two. For sure, we are, like, because
100%.
You ask anybody who's moved here from their own country, it's almost like it's just enough like their own country, but a little bit different, just to make it a bit fun. Our pubs are better.
Yeah.
Our pubs are better. That's about, you know.
It's
so we're not fucking there yet. It'd be lovely to.
But like our culture, the way that we've adopted all of the UK TV, UK media and stuff, it's not just that, it's also the infrastructure of how those things work, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you're a musician, you have to go through the same kind of hoops that, say, an American city would go through in order to be, like, you know, pushed up the marketing ladder, let's say, and then be signed, and you get your record contract, and then you go on tour and blah blah blah. Like, it's easy enough to do. But in the times when we had very talented people in the 70s, the 80s, the early 90s, those infrastructures were not there. We were very backward. While at the same time, the UK and America were creating those infrastructures that we now rely on as, like, the ubiquitous structure of how the entertainment industry works, which is corrupt to its core, but that's a different story. So, like, I do strongly feel that Wexford Town, I think I've said it before, Wexford Town was as packed with talent and as packed with dedicated and talented and, like, fastidious and hard-working musicians that could have been globally famous now. As much as, say, Seattle was at the same time in the 90s, and they're producing bands like, I don't know, like Jane's Addiction and Nirvana and that kind of grunge scene. Like, Wexford had that as well. I'm learning, my girlfriend is from Mayo. I hang around with a lot of people from Mayo now, and I'm starting to see that Ballina also had a very similar, hyper talented, super focused music scene. And I'm sure there's 10 other cities in Ireland that I don't know people from that had a very similar story. I thought Wexford was unique in that. But there's fucking loads of people. But if you didn't live in Dublin, Tom, if you didn't play in front of the right lad smoking a cigar, if you weren't fucking, you know, U2, or you weren't you weren't some, you know, some other fucking shit in the 90s or 80s, like, you know, what was it? My Bloody Valentine, maybe something like that. If you weren't exactly the right thing, you were a Irish band or whatever. If you weren't exactly the right thing, you were nowhere. The infrastructure wasn't there, and it kind of still hasn't fixed itself from that.
There was moments where it was kind of coming, that I think, and then it kind of it tanked again. Like, even to not be even as trendy, but if you look, the exact same story, there's to this day isn't even hardly a plaque up for the Clancy brothers.
Yes,
and the Clancy brothers and Tommy Makem or whatever, they're from Carrick-on-Shore, and they wore the woolly jumpers and they sang the Wild Mountain Time, and, you know, a bit hokey, but they packed Carnegie fucking Hall.
Yeah,
like Liam Clancy took the piss out of JFK sitting in the front row. He was that big. His balls were that big. He could take the piss. So they were big news. And still to this day, like, there's barely a fucking mention of him in their hometown. Like, there should be at least a parochial hall named after him. You know,
Luke Kelly. Obviously, he's getting his kudos now. Like, he's really only famous in Ireland and maybe a bit of England, a small bit of America. But, like, a global talent, never there was before. Like Luke Kelly. Like, unbelievable. And talking about Irish culture, like, what are they saying? There's 40 million Irish people all around the globe, descendants, like direct descendants, you know. If there's that amount of people, surely he should have had that kind of exposure. And I'm just thinking about, you know, lads like us in this day and age, in this time when, you can turn on a fucking box of light in the corner and talk into a microphone and then press go, and then the whole concentrating the ego are listening to you. Right? Like this is we've surpassed that time, but in tandem with that, there is also the reflux of that ability to be global, is that the globe is becoming smaller. And as it's becoming smaller, it's becoming easier to control using those mechanisms of communication. Like it's almost like they give us the tools to communicate with each other just to see what would happen, and then took all the best of us and went, no, we're going to keep you now under this net of what you're allowed to say, where you're allowed to go, what you're allowed to do. It's almost like, Pol Pot and the Khmer Rouge in Cambodia. Like Pol Pot was he doesn't get a look in. I think he's definitely in the top 5 of world dictators, like super dictator.
As Bill Burr did a bit on that, and he went, "This is Pol Pot. They're retiring that cunt's jersey. That jersey is fucking retired. He's in the Hall of Fame, top, and never.
He's never mentioned."
His kill list is off the fucking charts.
He's up to 8 figures, man. He's up to levels, right? But he used to go and kill cunts that had glasses on because he thought like they were more intelligent. He didn't want anybody, coming in and fucking with his system. So he's like, anyone who wears glasses, you're dead. Huh?
He was spot on, wasn't he? Yeah.
I mean, like, quick. So anyway, say nothing. Quick, take off your glasses. And you can't. Does that say police? I can't see it. But so he killed all the cunts with glasses. I mean, is it not very similar to what's happening now with censorship online? That there's people being afforded the system and left with the system kind of like without like parameters, without any fences for about 6 or 7 years, and all the cream rose to the top. And then all of a sudden, something happened culturally, and we're able to switch that off and go, okay, we're going to take all this cream and we're going to separate that shit into acceptable cream and not acceptable cream. And everybody else can fuck off. Like, that's what's after happening. They let everybody get famous, to get successful, to get popular. And then the shit that they don't agree with, they'll go, well, you're the only one that can get this popular talking about this thing. Bye-bye, and you're gone. Mm-hmm. They're cutting cunts off YouTube, cutting off podcasts, cutting off all. Alex Jones was going for 30 years before he got kicked off the internet. 30 years.
Yeah, at that stage, it's time to fuck. When you've been 30 years on the internet, like you've made the fucking internet. Like,
but he's one of the most famous conspiracy theorists. David Icke, the same. Like the two boys, I don't agree with everything they say. Now, you have to fucking preface everything with that nowadays. But like, the two boys are going for 30, if not probably 40 years. Like Alex Jones. In radio in Texas in the late 80s, like that's a fucking long time, and it only got switched off in the last 2 or 3 years, the two of them, because they're saying the wrong thing. They were allowed to become like Alex Jones is like fucking the biggest conspiracy theorist. Everybody knows him, like, and still bye bye. Do you know? It's about control, Tom. It's a fucking weird thing, and I push back against it and have done from a very young age. Like, I don't want to be controlled, and there's a lot of people out there that don't want to be. And it's not a thing that you can put your finger on, but a lot of people can feel it. They can feel something wrong is happening. They're trying to justify it by going, I don't want a vaccine, I don't want a mask, I'm rebelling. I'm a 13-year-old, I'm pushing back against this fucking bullshit. You can't tell me that I'm not worth what I think I'm worth. And there's a lot of people being told, you're not worth anything. So you're told. Yeah. And they're like, I don't agree. That's what's happening.
Yeah, and as you said,
like a personable level,
As you said, I think people are only made of one way. I don't think you can bend people. We haven't evolved to that. And it was interesting just to reiterate your point. A friend of mine is a producer, and he's Scottish, and he was saying about. This is last year actually. It was about this time last year, and he was talking about a kid in their school. He done it fucking over the weekend outside the school. We're walking past. He did a fucking a Nazi goose step.
Oh yeah, for the crack.
Being a fucking wally, but he's fucking 13. Like,
he probably just learned about it, and he's like, "This is hilarious."
When you're 13, you do whatever. You're just a kid who happens to. You might have a wispy little moustache blowing in the wind. You're doing like, honest to God, the amount of like at 13 when we're all getting togged off in the fucking train. Every one of us was doing the helicopter into each other's faces as just to annoy a fellow. Just when you turned around, what was that? Oh fuck, helicopter!
Now we know the reason why you wanted to into your school. That's just really lads, helicopter me. Stop, Tom. We're not going to helicopter you, for fuck's sake. Go on, lads.
By the way, Tom, get out. We're teachers. You can't be fucking in here anyway.
Who let you into the staff room?
Yeah. But he thought, there was uproar because all the adults were saying this is fucking disgraceful. There's Hindu kids going to that school and there's fucking Jewish kids going to the school, and every one of the kids came out because the kid was being expelled, including my friend.
Did they expel him? No way, man.
Oh, they were going to expel him.
Fuck's sake.
All the kids, regardless of background, went, this, and these are all young kids. This, by the way, is a pile of bullshit invented by you fuckos in your 20s. We're kids, and we should decide. He was having a good time. Yes, he was a fucking bit of a flute for doing it, but who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
So I think there's that weird generation. I don't know what they'd be called, generation, maybe, I don't know, X or whatever, but they would be, there seems to be a band of like a 10-year fucking band where they were like, like fucking cardigan wearing, fucking shouting, fucking Nora's at the fucking, and now it's gone to these kids and they're going, they're nearly they're talking to the people in their 50s or 40s going, she was only acting a maggot.
You get boomers, which are our parents. You get Generation X, which are the lads who are in their mid-40s to kind of late 50s.
Okay,
you have the millennials, which technically is us. We're technically millennials, but there's a weird middle ground classification, which are called Xennials. So we are a midway between millennial and Generation X, because we had an analog childhood and a digital. So the internet came around when we were at our formative years of 12 and 13 in the mid-90s. So we got that middle ground, and then after that, and the millennials go all the way up to 2000, and now we're into 2020 where you have Generation Z. And this Generation Z are coming out as fully fledged adults at 18 and going, come here, you know what? Fuck off. I'm not listening to that shite.
Yeah.
But the age difference is there's people in their mid-30s who are in now quite powerful positions in the companies that they're in. Whereas 10 years ago, when we were talking about like the boom and bust, they were fucked in that, but they were only 18 when that happened. And I think that did have some kind of weird psychological effects where they're like, I think so. I was without control there. I didn't have control there. I feel, and it's kind of like a cultural PTSD, they were disenfranchised, and they're like, I'm never letting that happen again. And now their whole fucking existence is about control, trying to make people put up their fist at a restaurant, going like, believe the thing that I believe, or you're the fucking devil, And the Generation Z are not into that shit. They're into fucking polyamory and getting a fanny and a Mickey and putting them together and going, getting a lick and lick off the other, like getting two different sides of a Dan bar to try and get the flavour. Do you know what I mean?
I fucking love Dan bars.
These lads are into fucking polyamory. They're into. There's no bother about whatever sexuality you're into. They're fully open and accepting of every kind of culture and religion. There's no fucking animosities. There's no very little bullying going on. Very little kind of you're different from me. It's a fully accepting society. These Generation Zs, they're so informed. Their information is at like a holistic level. It's at their fucking in their DNA to be informed and stuff. There's nothing that they don't know, that they haven't seen a video of or watched a fucking read a thing of, because it's all here. Like, how long did it take you to figure out shit when you were 13? Like, you couldn't look it up. You couldn't look it up, and you wouldn't even hear about it.
We were
because you're not
talking
talking to people about it.
My mother was an agent for the World Books. Do you remember Britannia? And I remember we were the fucking shit on our road. People used to come over and go, I need to know about a specific type of bovine. Have you got that in B? Oh, Jesus, the Belgian blue. Look at the muscles on that gun. Get around, people. Gather around the fire and look at the picture in this tiny corner of this book. And that was, but we were the fucking information givers.
Where are you going, Tony? I'm going over to Tom's house. What are you going over there for? I'm going over to get the V book. The what? The V book. And then Tom's ma's like, Tony, you want to bring that book here back? I don't have all them pages stuck together like the last fella that took it away. Yes, Miss Manny. Sorry about that.
I don't want to take up too much more of your time. You're a busy man and you've a fucking phone on.
For fuck's sake, we could talk all night, bro.
I know, and that's the fucking the danger of it. Ironically, we talked right at the very beginning of this how we go so long on these things. Give us a snapshot of what's happening in season 8. I know you did an actual episode, but what if you can, a juicy fucking smattering, because already there's people listening to this and their chins are fucking dripping with conspiracy grace. We talked fucking aliens, we talked CIA shadow fucking forces, we talked the elections.
It's only a taste.
Oh, it is fucking dribbling down onto their t-shirts. And have you ever eaten something so delicious and you're full of fucking beer, but you're in a lovely warm place of beer, and you're like, oh, that fucking beer, and you don't care that everybody in Zaytoon is looking at the red cabbage stuck to the front of your top, and you're going, I'm eating this doner kebab because this is fucking delicious, and I
did that 2
you don't
nights
care.
ago.
That's where people are.
I did that 2 nights ago. I got a soy and something sauce. I was putting the chips in, and it landed on my jumper. And I'm not ashamed to say, I sucked the sauce out of my jumper. That's how nice the sauce was. I got it from Mad Egg. There's chicken burgers delivering. Fucking hell! I got that soy sauce, man. It's like, I don't care. I'm a jumper sucker. What's happening? So I have the ones that I have recorded. I have the assassination of Malcolm X is the next big one. That should be coming out tomorrow, the 8th. I'll be working on that all night and tomorrow. And then you're looking at like a fairly fucking 5-star studded season 8. I wanted to pick something that was like bang all the way down, but also something, as you know yourself, Tom, I'm quite a predictive man. I like to predict things. I like to be like fucking Johnny on the spot. Like right on the nose. So we recorded that Oklahoma bombing episode, I think, over a year ago. I'll be honest.
Oh, it was in your other studio, sure.
And how poignantly timed will that be? We released that a couple of weeks ago, and there are literally armed militias of white men stalking the streets of the towns and cities of America.
Like people were actually, that was what people were saying, going, go away, you fuckers, you didn't record that.
Of course.
And I said, year and a half ago.
I released the agenda.
2 cars. I've had 2 different cars since then. That's how I know. Because I remember parking around. Oh, don't worry, that fucking thing went that long after that. I can tell you that fucking.
But so we released the Agenda 21 episode, and I was like, come here, lads, Agenda 21, they're going to fucking put out some shit, and there's diseases coming, and they're going to take over the world, and the vaccine, and the blah, blah, blah. And sure, what happened? Like 3 weeks after we released that, the corona lockdowns. So like, I like to be kind of just right there, like a cultural barometer, let's say. So I chose these ones to go into season 8 a while ago. And the timing is kind of getting a bit wrong because of the fucking lockdowns. I can't record them, but there's one here, Waco and the cult of David Koresh.
Say no more. The one we all remember.
Yeah, I want to talk about cultish behavior and the cult of personality, and it might be like a farewell to Trump, and try and think about like what was it like when he was here? Why do people believe in him so much? What was the whole the QAnon thing, which is like a faith? I think it's like a political facing faithist, like just trust the plan, like, you know, believe as you believe in the Lord our God and the Holy Spirit and all that shit. I want to do one with Jim Elliott is coming on, and Ed Salmon on the Chinese Cultural Revolution, which I think so similar to what's happening in American culture right now. It's the Chinese Cultural Revolution and the takeover of Mao Zedong in the 1950s, and how the youth rebelled against the system, resist. And they went, we must overthrow this system. And what was the fucking system that they ushered in? It was fucking, Chinese communism. Yeah. So, like, as much as we were talking about how great Generation Z was. Huh?
And Jim has been to China even.
Yeah. Jim is all over that shit, man. Like, that's probably one of the most researched episodes I'm going to do, like, coming in me whole. There's one on Pizzagate coming.
Oh, Lord.
I won't say much about that. You're joining me on one for the Rothschild dynasty, which is going to be one of the Men Who Made America episodes. So it's going to be like the history of the lads, how they were able to take like king, and they spread all around Europe and eventually made it to the Americas, and how basically like a familial wealth can get passed, and how you can maintain power and control through generational bequeathments and stuff like that. There's also one on voodoo and black magic. So for a little bit, bit of how do you do. Project Bluebeam I talked about. There's one on vampires, which is going to be chef's kiss. We talked about Barry Seal and the CIA. Operation Mockingbird, which is fantastic. It's going to be about how the media industrial complex is taking your mind over with propaganda. There's a nice easy one on the life and death of Bob Marley. So if you're a Bob Marley fan, get in on that. And the mystery of the pyramids. So it's the first of a 3-part series about Egypt, the ancient technologies behind Egyptian culture, and then obviously this first one is going to be like a toe dip. So it's going to be like what's it like living in ancient Egypt, how we got the pyramids, what were the science around the pyramids, the Sphinx, the Younger Dryas period, the Great Flood, and then about burial customs and religions and all that stuff. So it's like a history lesson with a conspiracy twist. And then one of my old favorites, we did it in a live show, and I'm going to be revisiting this, the Montauk Project. So we get to talk about Al Bielek and the magic box and time travel and all this kind of stuff. So
Jesus. There is great running out of the snack box. That is this podcast episode now.
It's going to be unreal. Really good season. And then to finish off, then the last one will be the Missing 411. So the David Paulides, I guess, what would you call it? An odyssey of books about people who have gone missing in the American national parks with absolutely zero trace. Like such mysterious disappearances. It would fucking rock your jaw, right? And he comes from a background of Bigfoot investigation. So like basically it's like people are going missing and they can never find them. They're never found without a trace, like gone. He also claims that Bigfoot is an interdimensional kind of extraterrestrial that opens up rifts in space-time and it just goes yoink and just pulls people into these portals and disappears, and that's where they're going. I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but that's where we're going to go. It's a really weird episode.
There's a gang of people absolutely with raging horns on it now.
It's going to happen, man. And as well as that, I think there's 38 3 to 4 hour true crime episodes as well, including like Aileen Wuornos and some of the ones we've done. What was the one you and me did again?
Dennis
Nilsson.
Dennis Nilsson. Yeah.
There's
Prepare
loads.
for that one coming up, guys.
Loads and loads.
Lot of penis talk on that one.
And you were joining me on the Voodoo episode with Mickey
and
Bartlett.
The Rothschild episode. With Mickey Bartlett.
Rothschild episode with
Shane Brown.
Is it Shane? Yeah.
It is Shane Brown. Yeah.
Classic. Yeah, it's going to be great crack, man. I can't wait to get over here until we're actually allowed to visit each other. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. I think I might just fucking find a fucking fashion of a giant condom for myself and just sneak over to your fucking house or something. Or get myself a blue light like they had in, you remember the streets of San Francisco? They'd stick one on the roof and just go, woo, and it go flying off when I go around the corner. Oh no, one of my hubcaps goes flying off. Fucking yeah, there's somebody. And that big Carol Reiner knows by the time I get into you, just after fucking.
I'm fed up with this fucking social distance and shit, and this not being allowed to. But more so, I'm fed up with not being able to have people over to make the shows because we're ready. Like I'm an open orifice waiting to get plugged. Yeah, I can't wait for this shit.
Yeah, well, I've always said that about you, that you always had a gaping want for people to.
Fill me with your information, boys. It's happening.
Okay. All
Wikipedia.
Right. Before we steered away from so much of the rude stuff. And
we got to finish with the cherry on top, though, bro. Get that.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. I couldn't fucking. I was annoyed with myself that we didn't talk more fucking dick talk, but we're actually venturing. We're venturing. I love this. This is perfect. This is perfect for who has been on for episode 166. That we're venturing towards the 3 hour fucking mark.
Is this a record for Buckshot? I don't know.
This is absolutely. We were up there with the Hit the Diff one was about 2.5 hours, but we have gone, gone way fucking smashed out of the fucking park. I will fucking see you soon, of course, and everybody that knows you loves you. Everybody that's listened to this, those conspiracy guys, just follow them everywhere. I would say Twitter is probably it's giggly fun. On Instagram is very nice. Tag everything you do.
Instagram, I would recommend the place to be, or Discord. I'm trying to get away from Twitter and Facebook. It's getting very toxic and
they're a load of shit.
I'm wasting a lot of time with it and stuff. Yeah,
Twitter is just.
I deleted the Twitter
Wow.
app off my phone, and I'm saving 14 hours a week, man. That's no joke. Like I check it on my browser, having a shit in the morning just for DMs and mentions, and then it goes off. Like it's a fucking toxic cesspool of shite. So Instagram place to be at Those Conspiracy Guys. You can check out the website thoseconspiracyguys.com, or the podcast is everywhere. And if you like it extra much, there's hundreds of extra hours of stuff in the Patreon. We like I have a Patreon as well. But like this is going to be going on my feed, so let's tell people. Let's tell my people where they can find you, because you have 165 other episodes to be listened to.
Of interview episodes, and if you do want to just listen to crazy fucking ranting, there's over another 100 episodes of that of the Ramble Pod up there. So we're well into the 280, about 280 fucking episodes.
That's a lot.
If they want to see us two combo, it's on my YouTube page. If you want to go to the Buckshot podcast YouTube page and look for Buckshot Sideshow, it's in the playlist. There's about, how many episodes did we do?
I think we did like 10 or something. Buckshot Sideshows.
Yeah,
and that was great crack.
It was great crack. It's a bunch of comedians ripping the living shit out of each other as in the guise of a fucking game show. Really, what we were doing was getting our fucking angst off our chest because the lockdown had just begun. It was a hell of a lot of fun, and we will return to it when because now we have a platform for it. We know what we're going to do, and thanks to Gordo and his advices, and obviously, like I've talked about with my podcast people, that he's fucking built my podcast fucking studio and empire for me. So we will be coming back to that. Buckshot Podcast will find me anywhere. If you do end up there, you will find my Patreon page, which supports it, and you'll get typically the videos and ad-free and early access to everything that I have.
Give us a couple of your favorite, just for my folks, give us a couple of your favorite interviews that you did. Some of the top spots, maybe, or just some that are memorable right now. Samantha Mumba was a very interesting one.
It was a great one. She opened with, we had a bit of a row about boxing for the first bit, but we just messed through the whole thing. She's a great bit of, she's just so much fun. Like I said, if people want a real silly fest with a bit of music in the middle of it, go listen to that one with the Mary Wallopers. Very, very interesting how the boys come about. One of my opening ones, one of my very first interviews was with Tom Green, comedian and Canadian Tom Green. Just keeping with the Canadian fact, our thing was Phil Nichol.
Yeah, Phil Nichol.
Tom Green. Yeah, Tom Green of the Tom Green Show. I suppose
was that lad that was married to Drew Barrymore that one time?
Yeah, he was kind of the founder of podcasts, really, wasn't he?
Do you know what, dude? I saw him on the fucking can't remember what interview he was on. He was talking about having his TV studio in his gaff. Like he made a studio and paid tens of thousands of dollars for bandwidth to be able to broadcast out, and now all we have to do is we can do it on our fucking phones on YouTube and stream. He's doing that in like 1998, making a TV show. Like, well,
Rogan suggests that he was his inspiration for doing it. How it came about was I was touring around Ireland with him. So, as I was dropping him to the airport, I'd been asking him, and his girlfriend at the time was there, and she kept on kind of getting out of work. But you know when that happens. But in fairness, he was like, no.
The third wheel.
Driving back to the airport to drop him home, I just set the recorder going, and we had a good old natter on it. So like that's just one. But once you kind of get into it, you'd see there's a world of fucking good ones there.
Loads of sports guys, players and coaches, comedians, actors, TV personalities.
I think what people typically tend to like about it is that I normally find a way in with somebody where I don't go, so tell me about your saddest time ever.
Yeah.
I want to have a good laugh and a banter. And what that tends to find is it gets people over the line where they go, oh, I don't feel like this is an interview anymore. And they probably give you a bit more in that sense, because they go, and when people, what I get from a lot of people is, Jesus, I've never heard that person swear. I've never heard them swear.
The guard comes down,
the guard does come down because they're chill and relaxed, and we have a good old time about it. So, I mean, take your pick. You're going to, if you like this style that we just did there now, there's a lot of this, but without probably as perfect structure, because this has been nicely structured.
I'm a waffler as well, though, man. Like I have a lot of stuff to say, and
listen.
I go off on one, but there's so many, man. Like it'd be like any interview podcast. Like go and pick your favorite one, and try it out, taste it. So if you like the sauce, suck it out of your jumper, and fucking go listen to some more. Buckshot Podcast, where it is. I leave all the links for my version of this for my people in the description below. I'm sure you'll do the same, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, savage.
So, for anybody who wants to cross streams with myself and Gordo, if you listen to True Crime one we did with It was kind of the story that David Tennant did.
Yeah. Des, the TV show.
Des, the TV show. We did make mention that we may end up coming up with our own version of a podcast. I don't know if you're going to leave it in the edit because it was so fucking silly.
Going in. Totally going in.
Just that's our little, what do they call it in a game, like they call it an Easter egg, it's just hidden in there for you. So when that'll be the next podcast you listen to that combines
Dennis Nielsen is coming out start of January, so
that'll be the next one. So there's an Easter egg in there. See, can you spot it? Where myself and Gordo talk about the potential of starting our own podcast. Gordo, this has been a long time coming. I'm so glad we finally got it done. And like that, I was looking for a significant number. Turns out 166 was right on the fucking money. As per your angel number.
Family, health, productivity. That's what it is. Positivity, man. That's what we're trying to get here. The only time I don't want positivity is in HIV tests. That's the only thing.
Yeah. That's the only time. That's the only time. Bring it on. Gordo Rochford of TCG. You fucking beautiful man. Till I see you, I'm gonna fucking lick your face. I don't give a shit what you tell me. I'm gonna lick your fucking face.
You do it here in the camera. Yeah, wrong side. Yeah. That last bit is going to be hard to explain on an audio only. I know. For audio listeners,
thanks so much, man. Thank you so much. Cheers, brother.